Shabbat Shalom, awesome tribes of Israel. Welcome to the Shabbat room on this beautiful day on the 21st of September 2019. Okay, so we got still a few more people to turn up. We're probably a little bit early, but I think our kick started earlier today, and then we can maybe finish a little bit earlier as well. Most of us had our festival recently, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, the festival of Feast of Trumpets, also commonly known as Rosh Hashanah, Civil New Year. And just to let you know that a new calendar has been posted based on the lunar years on our website, on the forever-israel.com website. You'll see it by the Ask the Rabbi page. There will be a new link there. If those of you who celebrate it based on the Jewish lunar calendar, it is there. And those of you who do it on the Hanuk calendar, the Hanuk calendar is still there. Excuse me. So no problems about that one. So we have both sides covered, and we had a wonderful festival. 2 days of the festival that's just been 19 and 20, and today is obviously the festival is finished, but the Jewish lunar calendar festival is still yet to happen. That's not yet happened. Now our Parsha today is Kefa, which is Torah portion number 50. Before we get into that, I may give you a little bit of a joke. I think I have something here. It's basically Mrs. Smart who's fumbling in her purse when she's in a church for an offering, when a large TV remote fell out and clattered onto the aisle. The curious usher bent over to retrieve it for her and whispered, "Do you always carry your TV remote to the church?" "No," she replied, "but my husband refused to come with me this morning, and I figured this was the most evil thing I could do to him legally." So our Parsha today is, of course, as I said, Kefa. Those of you who are celebrating the festival based on the Jewish lunar cycle, your festival is on the 30th of September. You're still about 9 days away on that. Yom Kippur, the fast, is going to be on the 27th to 28th of September for those of us who are doing the Enoch calendar, and the lunar calendar ones, you obviously have to wait till October 8th evening to start your fast. Now Sukkot, according to the lunar calendar, is 14, and of course according to the Enoch calendar, it will be early October. I believe October 3 will probably be our Sukkot festival, somewhere around there. Sukkot will be October 3 for the Enoch calendar. Now, the thing that I wanted to say is regarding the fast. I did have a lot of questions regarding the fast, and some people asked me that how do we fast? Generally, the Torah says a whole day cycle. Now, a whole day cycle is traditionally set for 25 hours. We know it's 24 hours, but the rabbis have set it to 25 hours, an additional hour. So you basically start your fast 1 hour before. The way they do it is they ask you to start your fast 1 hour before the sun set on the 9th of the Tishri 9, and then you resume till the next day till you reach the end of the day, sunset, and that fulfills 25 hours. Now, as far as I'm concerned, as far as Torah is concerned, you can just do a regular 24 hours. That would be fine. It's no problem there. You don't have to start an hour earlier. That's just a tradition thing. And the other thing is that how should you fast? Some people are on medication, and some people are probably, not entirely full well to do a 24-hour fast. So usually you could do a fast where you maybe can fast on water, maybe juice, and if you're especially on medication, it's not recommended for you to fast for the whole 24-hour period, what is expected from you is you can fast for maybe a part of the day as you see fit. So if you saw that you can go without food for maybe 6 hours of the day or 8 hours of the day, and that'll be your limit before you want to eat again, maybe because you're going to take medication or some other reason, then you can do that. You have the choice to do so. It is permitted to be done this way. However, if you are capable and you have no illnesses and you're not working in a you don't have to go to work in a Gentile place, because we're in a Gentile country, you may have to go to work in a Gentile place, then of course maintaining a 24-hour fast is not going to be easy thing. That's again something you need to look at, is how many hours can you fast, because legally if you're in Israel and it was an official day off and you fasted, that would be fine, because you'd have to fast then. But now we have this little bit of leniency being in the diaspora, that we don't have to be stringent about it, that there are because people don't always get a day off. Sometimes your employer will say you have to come into work, so that kind of makes a little difference. You can change it a little bit there. So that by the way is the fasting for the Yom Kippur fast, and after Yom Kippur, 5 days later, you're going to be celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles, which is not just a feast for Israel. Really, technically, Feast of Tabernacles is a feast for the nations. One day, all the nations will come up to Israel to celebrate this festival. So it is also celebrated in anticipation of the Gentiles joining the two houses of Israel, or one house of Israel, whichever you see it. So that's that. Now we did see this week a mini glimpse of what happened in Saudi Arabia. If you caught your news, there were attacks by drones. I believe it was 18 drones, and if I'm not mistaken, something like 11 missiles struck Saudi Arabia's heart of their oil empire, and it did a damage of about 5% of oil output was stopped, and the US basically alleged that Iran was behind the attacks. The Yemenite soldiers, the people from Yemen, they are fighting Saudi Arabia. They said, the Houthi fighters, they said they were behind the attacks and not Iran. So there's a lot of this going on right now in the media, who did the attack, and most of it they're pointing their fingers to Iran. Iran did it. Now that should have given you a glimpse of what I wrote in my book years ago about Saudi Arabia's cities coming under fire and smoke billowing out that's going to be seen through the Red Sea. So we saw a little mini eclipse, we saw a little mini episode of that, and now we're going to have a major episode of that. I'm not saying right now, but it is going to be in the future. When the major episode occurs, it won't be just one or two oil refineries or oil producing wells burning. It will be many wells burning, and you can just imagine that if this was only 18 drones and no casualties from the opposite side, it was just machinery that they fired. Now you imagine 100 missiles fired and maybe 200 drones fired at the heartland, the empire of Saudi Arabia, and just imagine the kind of damage that can be inflicted without a single person going there. Now, of course, American radars that are situated there did not pick up the attack coming. So whoever it is that did the attack, whether it's Iran or whether it's the Houthi fighters, they clearly know how to bypass the radars. So that's a clear given. So that means Saudi Arabia is already vulnerable to future attacks, which they have already said. The Houthi fighters already said that we will continue to attack their infrastructure, until they stop their war against us, because Saudi Arabia has done a war against Yemen, and this war is ongoing, where there's been a lot of civilian casualties. And of course, as you know more than me, that the big nations in the world, nobody says nothing about that. Everybody's quiet, tight-lipped about civilian casualties that are occurring in Yemen. When Saudi Arabia does an attack, they don't really even distinguish between civilian areas and military areas. So that's kind of tit for tat going on over there. So just to be aware, things like this usually push up the price of gas, oil. They will push up the price of gold as well. We saw that on the markets. Gold prices and oil prices jumped. From $50-some it went to $62 a barrel. So now it's going to retract it back a bit, but there's more coming. So tension in the Middle East is once again rising. So just be aware that people might say, hey, I don't care what happens in Saudi Arabia, but what they forget is that you still have to pay for the gas where you live. So you automatically have to care, because it does affect everybody wherever you are, because people import oil from that country into those countries. So that's basically that, by the by. And on the other hand, if we look at our Parsha, and I will go look, Parsha's Kitavo, chapter 26 of the book of Deuteronomy to chapter 29, it says, and it shall be, when you have come into the land which Yahweh your power is about to give you for an inheritance, and possess it, and dwell in it, then you shall take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which you shall bring of your land, that Yahweh your power is about to give you, and shall put it in a basket, and shall go to the place which Yahweh your power shall choose to place his name there, and you shall go up to the Kohen that shall be in those days, and say to them, I profess this day to Yahweh your power, that I have come into the country which Yahweh swore to our Avot to give us, and the Kohen shall take the basket out of your hand, and set it down before the altar of Yahweh your power, and you shall speak and say before Yahweh your power, an Aramaean was ready to destroy my father, and he went down into Mitzrayim. So an Aramaean was ready to destroy my father, and he went down into Mitzrayim, and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation great, mighty, and numerous in numbers. And the Mitzrayim, Egyptians, evil, entreated us and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. And when we cried to Yahweh Elohim of our fathers, Yahweh heard our voice, and looked on our affliction, and our labor, and our oppression. So here the Aramaean that is described as the father of the nation is of course no other than Jacob, because he's the one who went over to live in Egypt with his families and establish his families there, and the Pharaoh helped him establish the families, gave him Goshen, the goodliest of the land, and so they dwelled there, produced families, and on it went, for many years, hundreds of years, until one day they actually became slaves in that land. And then after slavery, then Moses was sent in to release them, and then Moses was able to, with Aaron, of course, the high priest at the time, Moses was able to free these people after much miracles and things that occurred in Egypt. And Egypt was left a desolate land, as you can read in the Bible. And it was kind of destruction that Egypt had never seen, because Egypt was a mighty nation. And what we do see is that at every turn we are always commanded to keep the covenant. Even in chapter 29 of Deuteronomy, we are told that these are the words of the covenant which Yahweh commanded Moshe to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. So these are two covenants. One is the The covenant that's spoken about in Horeb, which is what we today commonly refer to as the Ten Commandments, and the other one is another covenant. And it says the other second covenant is referred to by the rabbis as a new covenant or a renewed covenant. And it says, Moshe called to all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that Yahweh did before your eyes in the land of Mitzrayim, to Pharaoh, to all his servants, to all his land. The great judgments which your eyes have seen, the signs at those mighty miracles, yet Yahweh has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear to this day. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out, your sandals on your feet have not deteriorated. So here Moses is technically complaining about these people that you have not got a heart to know and eyes to see and ears to hear. Basically, they said you're deaf, you're dumb, and you're blind. You're all of these things to this day. It says that you've been whining and complaining for 40 years, yet God has fed you, has given you your clothes, your shoes, your sandals. Nothing wore out. He even gave you food and drink, but you continue to complain and you continue to whine. Now, it ends with, the Pasha ends with, guard therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. So, guard therefore the words of this covenant. Obviously, this particular sefer, this particular portion of the Torah, when it was given as a little book, or as a little scroll, because these were several scrolls that were joined together to make up what we know today as the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. And here it says again, clearly sets out, it didn't start with Deuteronomy 29, by the way. This actually goes back, and it starts from, where the Pasha starts from, which is Deuteronomy chapters 20, let's go back, 26, 1, and it goes all the way. So here some parameters are set. It speaks about the feast of first fruits. It speaks about the Kohanim, the priesthood, and the gates. It says that when you are brought to that country, that you are to take your offering to the priest and to lay it before them, that they may give thanks on your behalf. And then it starts speaking about what happened in the past, and so on and so forth. And then after that, it talks about tithing. Now here is this chapter in Deuteronomy. It says in verses 11, you shall rejoice in every good thing which Yahweh your power has given to you, and to your bait, to your house, you and the Levite and the foreigner that is among you, when you have made an end of tithing, all the tithes of your increase, the 3rd year, which is a year of tithing, and have given it to the Levites, the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within your gates and be filled. Then you shall say before Yahweh your power, I have brought away the holy things out of my bait. Now, just to stop here, there were actually, now it's disputed exactly how many. Some say 2, some say 3, but the Torah does speak about the 3rd year of tithing. So the regular tithe was given, which was a 10% of whatever the people made in the year. So they would bring it at different times, maybe at harvest, maybe at other times. People who did business, they would bring a regular tithe to the priesthood, which would probably be maybe a monthly cycle. People who did crops, they would bring a crop cycle, and people also had an additional tithe. Now this tithe that is mentioned in here is an additional tithe. In other words, it's on top of what you call tithe, tzedakah, which is charitable donations that's given towards those that are the most needy part of the Israelite families, that maybe the widows, maybe the orphans. But this particular tithe, you might say, what the heck, another tithe? Yeah, this is another tithe on top of that. So this tithe was kept by the people for this particular year, and it was brought to the priesthood for an additional blessing and a bracha to be given them. Now, of course, since we broke away from the temples and we no longer are, in the land of Israel or in the temple, nobody even cares about this tithe. Nobody even looks at it because it's forgotten totally. In Israel, Rabbi Zakaria is saying gas was higher for me this week, and probably will get higher, Rabbi Zakaria. And so in Israel, there is actually a concept still of the tithe of the third year, by the way. People over there do know that the ones who grow crops, that they are to bring their fruit baskets, and whoever in Israel calls themselves a Kohen, they do take it to them, whether they're real or fake, that's beside the point. But there is a set of people there that call themselves Kohanim, Levites, and so these things are taken to them. Now, in Israel, you're not supposed to grow crops in the, in the 7th year is supposed to be a year of rest and sabbatical year. You're not supposed to grow your crops, but people do. People still grow the crops over there. And what the rabbis do, they do a little loophole where they say, they put on the produce that through a loophole that this produce can still be sold to the people over there. However, that's, like I said, it's a loophole. It's not something that Torah definitely says you can do that, but they do that. So that's really, leave it to them to decide whether they're doing right or wrong. But my point is this, that here in the diaspora, the only tithe that you are supposed to be making is a tithe of your, regular business salary. If you're bi-weekly, if you're monthly, you're supposed to bring your tithe. Now somebody asks the question, is it gross or is it net? I usually say, because you already pay tax to the government, then we do not charge you gross, because to me that would be unfair that already one set of government charges apply to you, and then you have to apply another set of charges which may leave you shortchanged. So I usually say this, that it should be based on your net take-home pay from the government after your taxes. That way you're tithing from the money you actually receive in your hands, and then you can do the 10% tithe, and there's also an additional 10% for Tzedakah, but most people do not make an additional 10%. Some people might make 3% of that, another might make 5%, another might not do nothing. So again, I would encourage you to think about that. I usually say to people that if you're just doing tithes and Tzedakah, then just chip in something for the Tzedakah as well. Even if you put 1% towards the Tzedakah and you put 10% tithes, then you should do both. Now 1% is of course quite small and should be manageable for most. Now if you're not working, if you're on a pension, and you may ask, well, if I'm on a pension, do I have to tithe? And the answer is no. But the answer is this, that if you have a pension, and everybody's pension is different, so what happens with the pension is that what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to not tithe, but you're supposed to give a charitable offering, which is called a Tzedakah. And the Tzedakah, the way that works out is you take your pension, you decide that, hey, I'm going to make $1,000 of bill payments, and I'm going to be left with $500 for argument's sake, or $1,000, and then what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to take a Tzedakah, which is 10% offering from the remaining 10%, from the remaining money. So if the remaining money for a pensioner was a surplus money was $500, that would be 10%, $50. If your remaining money was $1,000, then it'd be $100. That's how these Tzedakah is worked out for somebody who's on government subsidy, and it's not called a tithe, it's called a Tzedakah offering. Now again, some people do make it, others don't make it. Tithe again, I'm going to say this, that generally speaking, the whole purpose of tithing is the benefit of the people. And God doesn't need your money, as God doesn't spend money in Walmart, so God doesn't need it. But having said that, the whole purpose was that when you channel your money as a tithe offering or Tzedakah offering to the Kohen in the gate, then you get the blessings in return. Things that are stuck, projects that you want to do, other things that you want to do in your life, those are meant to be facilitated because you tithe. They get facilitated by God. And I can only tell you this, that those people who do have never seen shortage in their life. That's all I can tell you. But people who don't, they go from one shortage to another. It might be roof start leaking, my car's battery went flat, my tire burst on the highway. These things happen to people who don't and who skimp and save. They end up actually always paying more because they are technically stealing from God. And well, the government doesn't allow you to steal. So if government doesn't allow you to steal and they'll punish you for it, well, think about God. Where does that leave God now? So I think that's something that you need to think about for yourselves. I'm just kind of giving you a brief on it. Now, having said that, coming back to our Parsha, it's very important to understand that when we are in a covenant-based, not a religion, but in a covenant-based relationship with God, and He expects some things from us, and of course in return we expect some things from God as well, because it's a covenant. A covenant is a two-way thing. It's not a one-way deal. It's not like you just do everything and I'll do nothing. It's that you do something and I'll do something on your behalf. So it's a two-way deal. So in a covenant-based faith, people are introduced into the covenant based on what they do. Now, Rabbi Kefa, for instance, he had his wife gave birth to a son. So I'd have to introduce that son into the covenant. And yesterday I performed the ceremonies for Rabbi Kefa as per the Torah guidelines, that there was an offering to be given of a lamb, a turtle dove, flour, wine, etc., etc., to the Kohen in the gate, and then equivalent offerings, equivalent value offerings, and then a bracha, a blessing has to be said on the child, and then other things needed to be done for the child to introduce him into the Abrahamic faith covenant. Now that child was ratified yesterday by myself, and Nakshan was brought into the covenant, because when I read out what I was reading out, I believe the volume is correct, Adivya. So when I read out what I was meant to be reading out and speaking, we made sure that the child can hear it. Why? Because to some people he's only a baby, he doesn't know, but actually he does know, because what's being read is being registered in his mind, in his heart, and so it shall stand. So it's very important. This is why we do that. So having said that, this is why this was done yesterday, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, that it was taken care of appropriately before I go on my travels. But other than that, it is very important. It's very important for those of you who call yourselves to be in the Torah. I always encourage you to be serious about it. Don't just say you're in the Torah and you don't show up for training, for teaching, and you don't show up in other aspects of your life, because you have families to take care of course, and you have businesses to take care of, maybe jobs to take care of, other deals to take care of. Everything is intertwined in this. We are a family, and as a family we have to work together as a family. So if we don't work together as a family, we will suffer together as a family. So I think that we can help each other in alleviating each other's suffering, or let's just say each other's blessing. So when we see one person blessed, another person feels equally blessed, because if one person can receive it, so can the other, but only within what I call the compliance of the Torah. Now, Rabbi Kefa is in front of you. Is not somebody who is hiding under a bush. I think it's around 8 years ago that I spoke to Kefa and I said he's going to have a son, and it took almost 8 years to get there. And it's not going to stop here at one son. There is more children. So my point is this, that I said it 8 years ago, and it took 8 years of toil, labor, hard work, persistence, perseverance, faithfulness to get here. And that's just one person. And I'm asking you to think about that. And Rabbi Kefa can tell you his testimony better than I can, He can tell you where he is right now with it in his part of the lecture. But my point is this: if it can happen to one person, it can happen to everybody who is faithful and sincere and obeys what God has already instructed. It's all in black and white. It's not like, we don't make something new. It's there. You can read it. You can read it in any Bible out there. It's not like, oh well, it's in one Bible and not in the other. It's in every Bible. So going with that, now coming back, we spoke about the fast, and I also wanted to speak about other things which are, for instance, chapter 28. My goodness, everyone knows chapter 28 and chapter 27 of Deuteronomy, because chapter 27 speaks all about the curses. It talks about the curses. Cursed be the man who makes any graven or molten image. Cursed be he that disrespects his father or mother, etc., etc. And then in chapter 28, it starts with a blessing. Blessed shall you be in the city. But there is a covenant commandment in verse 1. It shall come to pass, if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yahweh your power, to guard and to do all the commandments which I command you this day. You see the switch? It comes from Yahweh, but who's doing the commanding? It comes from Moses' mouth, which means in turn Yahweh's voice is representative in the priesthood's voice. It says, all these commandments which I command you this day, that Yahweh your power will elevate you high above all nations of the world. Now, you can choose to be elevated or you can choose to be depressed. It's entirely your choice. There are a number of blessings that are in this book based on your faithfulness and your fidelity towards Yahweh's covenant. This is a covenant, by the way. This is not some, airy-fairy deal going on. Say the name of Jesus and you'll be saved. None of that nonsense going on over here. This is very serious, very covenantal, and covenantal agreements bind. I did some buying and selling properties in England, and I always remember the clause. There's always a clause that there's a clause on a covenant on a property that you cannot touch this thing for the next 100 years, or it cannot be sold, or it cannot be moved. You always find those kind of details in properties and land positions. And if you've done any selling over here, then usually the wording they used in those legal documents was a wording of covenant. I was kind of a little surprised that, wow, they're using the name of a covenant over here to say you can't do this for the next 200 years because it's covenant based. So Gentiles take the covenants very seriously when it comes to legal houses, land purchases and stuff like that. Why should you not take what Yahweh says so seriously? It should be taken very seriously. This is covenant based. It affects you, it affects your children and your children's children. It must be taken very, very seriously. And because our people did not take it seriously, not all of them, but many of them didn't take it seriously, they paid the penalty. Hence why, kicked out of the land and all over the place, and here we are in America and other places of the world, because our forefathers did not adhere to the covenants and did not pay heed. So it's very important, because we are told, Yahweh shall establish you as a holy people to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you shall. If you shall. There's always an if there. If you shall guard the commandments of Yahweh your power and walk in his ways. But today I find that, many people just don't care. They think, that's it, I'm going to do it by myself, and I don't care about Yahweh, I don't care about no Kohen in the gate. So, that's the kind of attitude that a lot of people have taken upon themselves. And that's fine, because neither do I care either, and neither does Yahweh care about that person. It's the same way, it's a two-way street. So, coming back to, and I wanted to touch base on something in the book of Corinthians, because this might be relevant. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 7, it says that we walk by faith, not by sight. It's bracketed over there. This is one of Paul's letters. We walk by faith, not by sight. Now, a lot of the times, the reason why I say that is you may come across a situation by sight. You look at the situation and you see let me give you an example, a rough example. Let's just say somebody's ill. You come to somebody and they are ill, and by sight what you're looking at is somebody is ill. They are bedridden, they cannot walk maybe, whatever it is, they are sick. And you see them, you say, oh my goodness, the person is sick, he's on medication and he's taking 15 different color tablets and, he's not getting better, he's on IVs and all that. So that's by sight. But imagine if you believed, now you see the facts. The facts state that this person is now sick. Now what if you change the facts and you said, I see this person as a whole, and that's all I see. I don't see this person sick, I see him as whole. Now somebody might say to you, you've gone crazy. Are you mad? What, this person is sick. This person is on medication. Can't you see? But you can change the facts. You can change the facts. That is what Paul is speaking about. Paul is saying, we do not walk by sight. We don't go by what we see. We go by faith. Faith is basically what you believe, what you want in your life. So, let me broaden the example up a little bit. There was this particular testimony was given in one of Neville's books, and Neville said that there was this lady and there was this child, and this child was born with a scar on the face, and this child's scar, to every doctor they took this little baby, and the doctor said, we cannot heal this scar because he was born like this and he'll stay like this, unfortunately. So this auntie of the boy saw the boy. Fact stated he had a scar on his face. But you know what she did? She said, I refuse to accept the facts. I see this baby's face as completely whole and beautiful. She went away. The auntie went away, and all she did is focus on seeing the baby's face completely whole and beautiful. And she returned after several weeks to the family, and guess what? The baby's face by that time was completely whole and beautiful, no scar. And it's like, what happened? The doctor said that the scar will never go away, and blah blah blah. And so one auntie's faith was able to change this baby's outlook of life. And she no longer, the baby, whether it's a he or a she, didn't specify, but this baby didn't have a scarred face any longer. So my point is that you might see a situation of somebody, and somebody might be, I don't know, for argument's sake, unemployed. He's got no job. He or she's got no job right now. But that person says to themselves, you know what? I see myself employed. I am employed. I am working. I have a salary coming. Yet the facts state that this person is not working. He or she is unemployed. And anybody else will look at that situation and say, you've gone crazy, that person is not working. How can you say that you're employed when you're not employed? But you see, here faith overrides facts. Facts can be altered, facts can be changed, and you can bring relief to somebody's life. Now, I don't want to say too much, because I don't like to give my, things that I do in my personal life. I don't like to speak about it because there's too many jealousies around me all the time. And there was a particular family that was probably at the point of death. Let's just put it straight as it is, bluntly. At the point of death, if they did not receive something within a particular amount of time, they would be starved to death. How about that for a nice story? This is a real story, by the way. This is happening right now in a part of the country. So you imagine a family that's going to be starved to death because they've been fed one meal a day, and of course over time they will emaciate, and guess what will happen? Eventually the one meal a day, there's a baby involved that's not getting milk, and eventually the family will wither away and die because they will not get sufficient nourishment and nutrition. So, but what can you do? You might turn around and say, well, what can I do? I'm sitting in America. What the hell? What can I do for them? You can do a lot if you wanted to, because this is where your God-given imagination comes into play. And you can use your God-given imagination, and you can start changing the facts on the ground. But the facts on the ground says that a family is kept hostage against their will, and will eventually, if not released, they will suffer malnutrition, maybe, disease and maybe death eventually. And people don't care. People don't care about that when that happens to other people. That's the facts on the ground. But you could come in and say, you know what, I do not believe in these facts on the ground. I'm going to change these facts. And you go to work and you start using your God-given imagination and you start putting a perspective on this situation and you write a beautiful affirmation and you start working on it. And you say, you know what, I see this family free, not bound, not in bondage, not held captive, blah, 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 all of that. And you put it to work. And I can guarantee you, if you have that kind of faith, then you can move the world. Because this is exactly what Jesus said when He said, believe that you move that mountain over there and you can move the mountain. But if you have already a ridiculous belief of facts, well, guess what? Your facts will be your death. Because that's what happens. Now, I had a situation about 2 weeks ago, a family situation, where a family member had been, ended up in some kind of domestic issue with their, I guess, spouse or loved one. And I was told that a police report had been filed, a police case was ongoing, and of course, when things go to the police, usually what happens is you end up with a court date, and then a court case, and then fines. This wasn't a case of criminal prosecution. This was more a case of domestic prosecution, and they would probably fine the person. They'll probably say you're not to go within certain yards of that person's house, etc., etc. But you know what I did? I listened to all these so-called facts, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to change the facts. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. No police case, no nothing. Everything dissolved. And this family peacefully resolved, and they can live their separate lives, away from each other. They don't need to be in one place either. So I changed the facts. I wrote the affirmation, and I sat over there only 2 times. I sat there only 2 times, and I visualized seeing the situation resolve to complete success. In other words, I want no court case, and I want none of this, them to be together and fighting each other again. I want them totally separate, totally gone their merry way, and live their own separate life, so that it never happens again. And I phoned my sister yesterday, and just say hi, how she's doing, and she told me of that family situation. She said, did you hear that? I said, hear what? He said, that family, so and so, who had a court case going on and on. I said, yeah. He said, that person, that woman who filed the court case is taking the court case back. You see, that took me 1 session to 2 sessions to accomplish, and only took me 1 affirmation to accomplish. That's the facts on the, I had facts on the ground, and I had Rabbi Simon on the ground on the other hand. So I don't care about facts. I was able to change that situation within 1 session of my knowing about that situation. I didn't even phone the person. I didn't ask them what happened. And she said, did you phone those people? I said, no, I haven't phoned those people. I haven't talked to them either. I don't know what they're doing. But it's nice to hear that this thing is now going away. So my point, you might tell me, hey Rabbi, I got no job. Hey Rabbi, I got no money. But I can tell you that those facts can be changed at an instance like this. If you put your mind to it, if you give your God-given imagination, you can change it. But the question is, are you willing to change it? That's the question. So unless you're willing to change facts, facts will haunt you and facts will kill you eventually. So I think that a lot of the times the whole purpose of these teachings, or part and parcel of the Torah, is not something that I made up from some planet, X, people are running after. I didn't make it from planet X. This is something that came straight out of our Torah, and this is something that you can achieve. We have a story in the Bible, and if I may go there, I believe it's in Genesis chapter 4, I believe, and it speaks about Cain and Abel. Now, let me tell you something of Cain and Abel. This little story is really good, because I kind of like it as a little anecdote story. And if I go back to Genesis 4, and it says as follows, it says, and Adam knew Hawa his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man, Yahweh. and she continued to give birth to his brother Hebel, and Hebel was a keeper of sheep. In other words, it was a twin birth. That KJV doesn't tell you that. So it says, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Why? Because continued, the word that is used there in the Hebrew, actually means it was a continued action. The woman didn't stop after the birth, the first baby came out. The continued action, Yasaf here, the Hebrew word means it continued with another baby coming out of the womb. So it was a twin brother issue. And it says, after that, in the process of time, it came to pass, of course, both of the brothers grew up. They brought of the fruit of the ground and offering to Yahweh. And Hebel he also brought of the Becharoth, firstborn of his flock, and of the fat there. And Yahweh had respect for Hebel and for his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no respect. What does it actually mean? On a philosophical level, it's very simple, that Hebel knew how to use his imagination correctly, and he brought the right ingredients to change the facts, and Yahweh was pleased with his facts, his right facts to change. He wanted to change something, he brought the right ingredients, and God changed it for him. But then Cain, with his little, shovey attitude and chauvinistic, how he thought he's the greatest thing on earth, he brought his imagination, and he put himself to work. And guess what happened? He fell flat on the face because it was all rotten vegetables. So when you are applying yourself, and all you got to offer is rotten vegetables, and vegetables that you dug out of the garden and they're all rotting away, and you bring that before God. So my point is this, that analogy is very simple. Analogy fits in two ways. Unfortunately, I'm sorry I have to say that, but it could be like somebody who does not give anything to God but wants God to make him a millionaire. Do you think God's going to make you a millionaire? I think you're going to have to think twice about that. And it's another person who walks in faith and comes before God and says, hey, Master of the universe, here is my offering. This is my best offering that I have for you. Do you think God's going to let him down? Absolutely not. I read the story of that man, Andreas, in the book Homeless to Billionaire. And one of the things this guy honed in on was tithing. He said, look, I know that the Bible speaks about 10% tithing, and he said, not from a religious point of view, but from generally, I do give 10% and more. Because I believe that the more you give, the more you receive back. He said, I believe in this fully and wholeheartedly. So this was a guy who's a totally Gentile, has no covenant with the God of Israel, and he was just speaking about a precept in the Bible saying that I would give, and I know that by giving I receive more. The more I give, the more I receive. That was his basically summarization of that particular chapter, if you read the book, from Homeless to Billionaire by Andreas. So my point being that this story of Cain and Abel is a beautiful illustration of exactly that. When you give your best to God, God will always honor you. When you bring your worst to God, or nothing, and you say, make me a millionaire, God's going to give you a punch in the stomach and say, get lost, you stupid man or stupid woman. What are you talking about? You give nothing and you want something from me? No, you're not going to get nothing either. So, that's just putting it a little bluntly. Of course, God's not going to punch you in the stomach, but my point is that God may punch you in a place that you may never recover. And I know people like that, by the way. I know people like that. I read about them all the time in the papers. So, there was a man that I read, but I'm not going to go there because, I just want to make a little point. My point is simply this, that when you're all deserving of the benefits and the blessings of God. You should all be deserving, and you are deserving, and you do deserve, all of you deserve to be blessed. I have no question about that. But my suggestion is this, that don't bring your worst to God. Don't cut corners. Don't say, well, I think I've got to do this first and I'll see to God afterwards. Always do your level best for God. When you do your level best for God, God will do His level best and more for you. So again, I come back to Rabbi Kefa as one example, but there are probably other examples as well, that people who do that. So with that, I like to say that there's another bit of a verse that comes from the letters of Paul, and that's coming from, let's see, from the book of Romans, chapters 4, verse 17. It says as such, and I'm going to read the last part, but I'll read the full verse first. It says, "As it is written, I have made thee a father of many nations, before him whom he believed, even God, who quickeneth the dead, and calleth those things which but not as though they were." So let me read the last part of the verse where it says, "Who quickeneth the dead, and calleth those things which be as not though they were." In other words, what it's saying in this passage that Paul is indicating, even if things were not so, and you called them and you said, "No, it is like this," then you can have it by your faith. That's what Paul is saying. Paul is saying, like that woman who said, "Although I see a scar on the baby's face, but I refuse to believe that this scar cannot be healed. This baby's scar is completely healed, and I see it healed." In other words, she called something that she had not yet seen, but she said, "I see it. I see this scar healed." And so the scar was healed of that baby's face. Same way, you may not see yourself in a home or in a job or in a car, but if you call it and you're serious and you have serious belief, then you will bring it. One of the things that is very, very powerful that I have seen, when people give Zadaqah offering, a charitable offering to the Kohen in the gate, and they ask for something, majority of the times, 9 times out of 10, in fact I'll say even 10 times out of 10, they get what they ask for. That's how powerful that Zadaqah is. So that's why in the book of the prophets we are told that Israel must do acts of kindness. They must. It doesn't say they should, it says they must do acts of kindness. And one of the acts of kindness is exactly giving Zadaqah. That's counted as an act of kindness. So my point is that never look at your situation and say, "Oh, God, where are you? I'm dying." Always call it. First decide what you want in life. First decide what you want. When you've decided it, you write it down. Once you've written it down, you call it from God and you say, "This is mine. I receive it." Claim it. After you call it, you claim it. And you got to continue to claim it. Don't just claim it one time and then forget about it. Claim it every day. And maybe you give yourself a few days break, and then you allow God to do His work, and you will receive what you're desiring. But that'll only come with what we call unwavering faith. Not by sight, but by faith. Faith is not by evidence of things seen. As the book of Hebrews says, it's not the evidence of things seen, but it is basically what you believe. So what you believe is what's done unto you. So I would highly encourage you to always keep that kind of faith, because that kind of faith will never let you down. What you believe, you will receive. But you got to continue to believe, not just believe one day, 2 days, third day you get tired and say, "Oh, well, it's not happening, I'm going to change my mind now, go somewhere else." No, don't do it that kind of faith. But put your belief firmly where your mouth is and continue to believe in it. And there may be people around you who say other things and might be, maybe they don't believe you, or maybe they don't encourage you. So always be encouraged. All these stories that we have in the Bible, these stories in the past that occurred with our forefathers, they are meant as a lesson for us, and they teach us what we are to do and why we are to do it and how we can benefit from it. So in the bottom line, the blessing is there. Question, are you able to receive it by your faith? So with that, I'd like to leave you. Love you. Have a great Shabbat and great week ahead. As I go on my merry travels, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, I go forth into the east, and I leave you in the capable hands of Rabbi Kefa. More than likely I will do my recordings probably over there. I don't think I'll have regular internet all over the place, but I will probably record my lectures offline and send them in, and I'll brief you in on what's going on down there. But in the meantime, Baruch Hashem, that you have these teachings over here, you have some great teachers here, and you can continue to benefit and be blessed in your lives as you go on, especially in this festival season. So over to you, Rabbi Kefa.
Yeah, to God Kohen, if I can be here, can I get a one? I want to make sure I'm coming in crystal clear over here. One thing that you'll note about the Kohen, to God Kohen, Oliver, vive la France. I tell you, Oliver, I really have a love for France. I really do. I've always had this love for France, and I guess it's because of my makeup. I have French blood within me. You know, my mother, you know, Napoleon came to Louisiana, and you know, they started getting it on with the slaves down there during that time. So yeah, I really just have this connection, I would call it, with France, and it's deeper. It's just blood related, and it's a deep connection. That's why you know, your country is a beautiful country, and it has a warm place in my heart for sure. Not neglecting any of the other countries out there, by the way. Don't get jealous. That's just me talking personally. I really do have a affinity, a love for France. I really do. I love this great country that I'm in, America. I love this shepherd nation that I'm in, this mighty nation. Because Hashem, I give thanks to the Master Yahweh, always creator of the heavens and the universes, and the Milky Ways, and the black holes, and the universes beyond the universes. And I'm just totally grateful, and want to show great gratitude to my Kohen, my teacher. One thing I'd like for you to all pay very, very close attention to going forward, as you are students of nature, students of history as well as students of the Torah. Pay close attention to what happens when the Kohen, every time he travels, I see it. I see it myself. Now, the reason why a Kohen can talk about things that are happening in my life is that we have a really close relationship. And I really do admire that, and I'm humble and grateful to have that kind of relationship with him. So, you know, it's like we're attached at the hip because we're brothers from the same mother. And so he has a lot of insights on things, and you know, I'm privy to a lot of information that you guys won't know about. And I don't say that in a braggadocious type way, but I do say that in all humility. And so you know, so he knows like the insides basically of my life. You know, some of it has been delved out to you all here in this forum in testimony form, while other things are kept, you know, behind the scene. Secret and closed doors, to where, you know, things just, you know, some things are permitted to be said, some things are not. That's just what goes on at the end of the day. But I will tell you this, is that when a Kohen does travel, there's always revelation. How many of you have noted this as well? Is that he'll always, you know, come back with some kind of revelation if he's traveling to wherever he's traveling to around the world. So be on the lookout for that to occur, to where something will be opened up, to where the green light will be to the Kohen, to where now he can reveal to us some of these hidden truths, these hidden secrets that he's, of course, always had, but he's gotten the green light from the universes, from the God of Israel, to go ahead and say, okay, now here's the time. Okay, now we're going in this direction now. You see, Israel, even though we're in these shepherd nations, even though, Oliver, right now I'm not in France and I'm in America, and you're in France, so you're not in America, you're in all these other countries, it's because right now we're sojourners. We're always traveling. We're always on the move. Do we take rest periods? Yes, we do. How many times, can anybody, you Torah students, how many times did Israel stop in their journeys in the 40 years that they traveled, you know, from Egypt to the land filled with milk and honey? Does anybody know that offhand? You know? How many stops were actually made? I can guarantee you it was more than 30 stops for sure. I don't have the exact number, but I can tell you it wasn't a continuous. Yeah, they made a few stops to where they actually stopped and they pitched their tents. You can go read it in our books. And somebody maybe will come back with that later, where you can actually, where they actually stop, pitch their tents, stay there for a while. Remember, fire by night, cloud by day. Remember that. So they would only move when they saw the fire move, or when the cloud moved. That's when they would move. When the cloud didn't move and the fire didn't move, guess what? Israel stayed put. That's very, very instructional on many different levels. And Israel stayed put. So you going forward, you must understand this in your journey, is that we're always progressing. Sometimes we'll stay at a place for a little while and then we'll move to another location. Sometimes we'll stay at a place for a little while and then we'll get a better understanding or more revelation of where we need to go going forward. Are you all understanding? Please put up a 1 if you're with me. I want you all to be with me because, at the end of the day, I don't want to leave any family members behind. And if you consider yourself part of the family, I'm not trying to leave you behind. But my thing is I don't want you to leave yourself behind, you see. But I do not want to leave any of you behind, your family. So we all need to journey and travel together. Hakoy mentioned this in his lecture. If you're part of the family, then you need to act like a family member. And I'm paraphrasing, but we need to act like a family member and contribute to the family in a positive way. We don't want to bring negativity into the family. We want to keep that outside of the gates of the family. Put that outside of the camp, as is said in our books. So to that for your responses, by the way. So I look forward to the revelations that are going to come about and the great stories that are going to be unfolded as Hakoy goes back to let's just face it, he goes back to our heritage, to our roots, back to where where it all started for us, Bugashia. So what a beautiful thing to be a part of and to witness and be a watcher, as all of you are as well. Don't take these things lightly. Things happen for a reason. How many of you understand? Everything in your life happens for a reason. Now, Hakoy did open up to you and give some of my testimony about, him telling me that I was going to have a son. Yeah, and you're right, Hakoy. It was like 8 years ago. And look at that number 8. That number 8 is powerful. 8 years ago. 8 years ago. You take that number 8, turn it on the side, what do you have? You have an infinity. Isn't that beautiful? But 8 years ago, Hakoy told me here in my bait, here in my home, that I would have a son. And sure enough, I had a son. On Sunday, September 15th, Nakshan was born. Nakshan was born. And it was a beautiful and humbling experience for me as well. My first son, my first child, and it changed my life. It changed my life. To the rest of the family as well. All of you may have experienced births as well, so you have the same sentiments exactly. But I will never, ever, ever forget that moment in my life and in the life of my wife and my life of my family as well, my personal family here, my life. It really, really changed my life, and I live on. I live on, Hakohim. I live on. And I think that's very, 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 very important for me. To live on and to leave a legacy and will carry on. After I am sleeping with my fathers, my name will carry on. My desire for and love for Israel will carry on through my son. And so I think it's so very, very important that we understand. Hakoy is saying this: 2 things, a wife from the east and a son from her when Rabbi Kefa was married with another woman. Oh, I didn't state that very important point. And at the time Hakoy told me this 8 years ago, I was married to a woman that had 2 children already, and her tubes were tied. so I was anticipating a miracle. See, I was thinking for, in my own understanding at the time that, okay, this baby's going to come because, tubal life, just because you tie your tubes, it doesn't mean you can't have any babies. Well, my ex-wife's tubes were actually burned. And I was thinking, well, this is going to be a miracle. You see, this baby is going to be a miracle because her tubes are tied and her tubes are burned and she's going to get pregnant. Well, like Hakoy told you, 8 years. 8 years of, I would say, persistence, never giving up, of unwavering faith that I believed in the words of the Kohen, and that was a desire for myself as well as have a son. But it seems like in my relationship process is that my attraction of women was those that already had children. You know what I mean? So I was always raising somebody else's children, which I thought I would get cool points for, but again, it came with a lot of drama. And I know maybe some of you are in that position as well. Now, I will say this because we do our recordings do go to YouTube as well. I'm not knocking those of you who do that, but I truly have a respect for a man to raise somebody else's children. You get high marks in my book, high marks. It takes a special man to raise somebody else's children. Very, very special. And that's a breed of man that, it takes a special man. And you get high marks in my book if you do that. But in saying that, I'll say this as well. What I saw was, I'll call it a mistake, is that I was distracted from having my own children. It was almost like because my energy was focused on raising another man's child or children, in my instance. So I never got my focus. I didn't have enough energy because I was pouring all my energy into that to even think about, okay, well, what about me being selfish for a minute? What about my own needs? What do I want? Instead of trying to, and this is one of those aspects where I was trying to please other folks around me instead of looking at and examining myself and what do I want and what pleases me, what makes me happy. So yeah, Nakshan is here. Nakshan is here, family, and I tell you, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm in daddy mode now. I'm in father mode now. For the first time in my life, and I'm in my 40s, first time in my life, and I do believe that. It's been said here that in America and the world over, studies have been done, and they say that men don't really mature until they reach their 40s. That's when men mature, for you women in the room. In their 40s, that's when they mature, and that's when men boom, they get it. Either a rock hits them upside the head, or just a light bulb comes on, and they literally get it. Now, for some of you, that may not be the case. But when we take men as a whole, they've done studies on this. And they said, well, men mature when they reach their 40s. So women, bear with us. Have patience. Because when they hit those 40s, then, or women, you may want to take this information and say, well, maybe I should be looking for a man to marry that's in his 40s. You'll get a lot more mature of a man, and you won't run into what my colleagues tell me all the time in the nursing field. My female nurses, they'll sit there and tell me, it feels like I have 3 children, and that's including my husband. Or 4 children, and that's including my husband. I feel like I have to raise my husband too. How many of you heard women say that before? Oh, I just feel like, or maybe your significant other told you that as well. I feel like I'm raising, you're my child and not my husband. It's because sometimes men, they take longer to mature. So bear with us. But when we get it, Mishpaha, we get it. And we got it, and it truly is good. So just bear with us. So I'll tell you, I'm ready for it, and I tell you, we celebrated our first festival together. Our first Shabbat was Yom Teruah. And believe me, Nakshan was blowing the trumpet. I tell you, he's got some vocals on him. He was truly blowing the trumpet himself. He was blowing the trumpet, Oliver. He was blowing the trumpet, and I guarantee you they heard it in Zion. So we really had a great festival together. Our first Shabbat together today, Nakshan. Of course, I have relocated to my office because I've been told by the wife that I'm not allowed to teach in the room anymore because Nakshan is there, which I fully do understand. So I'm coming to you from the office here, and truly happy and humbled. And we're putting Nakshan on the schedule now. Nakshan had his own little schedule, and of course, part of my lecture today is going to be dealing with sacrifice, and I want you all to understand it. I was having a conversation with my daughter about this as well, and the importance of sacrifice. And as I mentioned to you, 8 years, and I would consider that a lot of experience, but I tell you, during those 8 years, I had to make a lot of sacrifices. How many of you know what I mean by sacrifice? You have to be willing to sacrifice some things in your life. Some sacrifices can be small, whilst others will be big sacrifices that you need to make. And we're going to talk about this as we look at our forefathers as they came, the Hebrews that came out of Egypt. They had to make a lot of sacrifices. Yeah, you see the blessings and the curses and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, the individual family members, they had to collectively come together and make sacrifice. Make sacrifices. You see, anything worth having in life requires you making sacrifice. You must do it. I mean, it's going to be a must-have, but you see, you'll run into the situation to where, you don't want to make the sacrifice. Thus, you don't reach your end goal, whatever that may be, because you're not willing to sacrifice and give up and maybe make some changes or give up some things in your life that are negative for you and not pushing you and propelling you forward. And so, you have to look at that. You have to look at that. I tell you. So during those 8 years, a lot of sacrifice was made in my life. And Baruch Hashem for it. As I look back on the experience, I say Baruch Hashem. And I look at the end product, and I look at Nakshan, and he just born on the 15th. So now, in the last couple of nights, he's just now starting to open his eyes, Mishpah. And I tell you, he looks at me, I tell you, Hakoini, yeah, man, hello. He looks at me, and I just melt. And I just see that in that baby I see the subconscious of the baby. And I see that he knows more, he's more clued up to heaven than I am, because he's a lot closer. Think about it for a minute. He hadn't been conditioned to all this mumbo jumbo here on the earth. So he's a lot more connected to source energy. Think about it. He's a lot more connected. When I look at his eyes, I see it. Because he's opening his eyes now. He's opening them big. And I tell you, he has his mother's eyes. I tell you what. And he opens his eyes, and he looks at me, and I'm looking at him, and he has the nookie in his mouth, or the pacifier, and of course he's getting breastfed, of course he's getting breastfed, but when he's not on the breast, my goodness, and believe me, he's 100% Hebrew, because he loves to eat. he loves to eat, and he eats often, and I'm just full of peace, full of joy. I did send to the Mishpah he had his circumcision done, and I sent pictures to the Mishpah after his circumcision. My goodness, 5 minutes after his circumcision, my son's sleeping. Akshan is at peace, not crying, not wailing and gnashing of teeth. He's at peace. And I said, Baruch Hashem, and everybody around me like, "Wow, you have such a peaceful baby." I said, "Yes, I do." Why? Because I scripted that peace, and because I talked to him in the womb and told him he's going to be at peace, and I sung him songs about shalom. So he knows peace. He knows peace. That peace that passes all understanding, Nakshan has that. So yes, 8 years of sacrifice. Baruch Hashem. 8 years of sacrifice. 8 years. Daniel said, sounds like you have Willy Wonka Jr. Yes, I do. That is a good thing. Yes, I do have Willy Wonka Jr. as well. He hadn't partaken of the chocolate yet, but he will. He will have an abundance of chocolate. So my name carries on. My lineage lives on. The legacy that I leave behind, I'm leaving it behind for sure. It's going to be a legacy of positivity, a legacy of covenant, as I mentioned to you, a legacy of loyalty to family, a legacy of love and of humility towards all people. All peoples. What a mix that we have here in my son Nakshan. He's part Chinese and part Hebrew. They were asking me on the bird, they were like, well, what are you? What's your nationality? I say, I'm Jewish. And they looked at me like, wait a minute, how can you be? I'm Jewish. And I didn't go away from that stance. So you've got the Chinese, and then you've got Jewish in him. My goodness, I tell you. He's got the best of both worlds, literally. He's got the best of both worlds. And so my wife is speaking to him in Mandarin, and of course I'm giving him the English side of things. I mean, think about this. Now, I'm just one man. I am one man. I'm a humble man and I'm a happy man. But all of you have the capability of doing the same thing. To bring up a generation that, like Hakoin told me yesterday, that's raised and reared from birth in the Torah. I didn't have that opportunity. But Nakshan does. He knows who he is. I had to search for who I was. You see the leg up that our children will have, Mishpah, going forward. Israel's coming back. Israel's waking up. Israel's coming back to their true heritage, to their true traditions, their true customs, to who we really are, to our God. It's very, very important that we understand this. Moshe, just like Hakohi, Simon Altaf, he mentioned this today as well. We are chosen people. We're chosen people. We're chosen by who? Can anybody fill in the blank? Who are we chosen by? I think it's important that you understand this. When we say we're chosen people, who are we chosen by? Were we chosen by President Trump? Were we chosen by the consensus of people? When we say chosen people, first of all, let me digress for a minute. How many of you in this room are chosen people? Put up a capital C if that's you. If you consider yourself chosen, I want you to put up a capital C. You need to claim it. Like Akoi mentioned in his lecture, you need to claim it. If you're chosen people, put up a capital C if that's you. Let me add myself to the family, because I'm part of that chosen. If you're chosen people, to double your responses. Now, if you're chosen people, like Princess said, I'm chosen times 2. Baruch Hashem. If you're chosen people, who chose you? Anybody tell me that? Moses talked about this. Moshe, Musa, he talked about this in this part of our parsha. Chosen by God, says a Torah. Chosen by Master Yahweh. Chosen by the Abba Yahweh. Chosen. Okay. To double your responses, and they're all correct, by the way. Now, here's the next part of the question that I find very interesting. Have you chosen God? You see, there's two sides to the chosen. You see, God has chosen us, but have we chosen God? Have we chose God? Think about that for a minute. That's something we don't need to get on your keyboard warrior response, but we need to ask ourselves this question from within our subconscious. Truly, ask yourself this: have I chosen God? Have I chosen God? Have I chose to uphold the covenants of God? Because that's what you're choosing. You see where we're going? See, because a lot entails with that. Hakuni talked about 8 years. 8 years of sacrifice. Yes, I consider it sacrifice. I had to sacrifice a lot. I basically had to relinquish a family to start a new family. That was sacrifice. Because I was with that woman, my ex-wife, for 10 years. And it wasn't 10 years of just all drama for your mama and baby daddy drama and all this, that, the other, the third that came with it. There were a lot of good times in there as well. We had meaningful moments as well. And that had to come to an end so that I could get to the point where I'm talking to you today and looking at my wonderful infant newborn baby boy, Nakshan. Do you see the parallel from ex-wife to new wife from China? That's sacrifice in itself. I'm going to tell you about some long plane rides. Do you know how long it takes to get to China from San Antonio, Texas? Let me count the ways. That's sacrifice. In doing it not one time, multiple times. Multiple times. Why? Because I was instructed by the Kohen, by the son of Aaron, that my wife, now I'm not talking about guys, but for me, my instruction was to look to the east. I had to go to the east for a wife. What if I didn't heed that instruction? What if I didn't want to put up with the sacrifice to get to that point? Nakshan would never be here. Think about that for a minute. Handsome little boy, at peace, full of joy. And he looks at you, and he just melts you with those eyes. Tell you, he looks like his mom. Heart of a lion, Mishpahah. Heart of a lion. My little Simba. He's here. And I'm totally happy. I'm tell you what, I've never been this happy in my life. And I know there's more happiness to come, Akaween. I receive it. There's more happiness to come. I've never been this happy in my life. As I see me, I look at my son and I see myself. And that's beautiful. My mother says he looks just like me. You look at Nakshan, and believe me, Nakshan is going to be, I mean, my goodness, you got China and America, China and Jew in you, my goodness. He's going to be one handsome, one wise, one smart, one very intelligent young man one day. And and he's going to do great things for China, and he's going to do great things for America, but more importantly, he's going to do great things for the family, for the children of Israel. Baruch Hashem. He's going to do great things, Mishpah. Great things. Now, the Chinese have this custom, and we had it where he has to have his Chinese name as well. That's the custom. That's their tradition. Now, they have a way about going about getting the Chinese name to where they go to this man who's experienced in this area, and he takes a bunch of information from the mother and the father and what time the child was born and blah, blah, blah. Get this. Nakshan was born at 10:01. At 10:01, Nakshan is crying. You hear the roar of baby Simba at 10:01. Beautiful. By the way, those of you proud mothers and fathers out there, Nakshan was 8.5 pounds. I don't know how you get 8.5 pounds out of my wife that's about 105 pounds herself. My little Chinese wife, my beautiful Chinese. I mean, she's so small. And so I'm like, how the heck you going to get 8.5 pounds out of my wife? But my wife did it. She had an uneventful pregnancy. No problems whatsoever. Carrying 8.5 pounds within her. 20.25 inches long. For you proud mothers and fathers out there, I'll never forget those numbers. So I think that's important to understand is that we have to put ourselves in a place, and you have to do this. You have to change your world, as that queen has up in there beyond the title of the parsha. Is that you are responsible for changing your world. I have to change my world. I have made this world and manifested this world that I have right now here today. When you can own up to that responsibility, you're very close to your connection with the universes, with the creator of the heavens and the universes, with source energy, with God, whatever title name you want to put on it, with the omnipotent, omnipresent one. When you can begin to take responsibility for yourself, you see, Jacob, Tada, I receive your congratulations. With all humility, I tell you, my heart is puffed out to like pooftivity. Can't pump it out anymore. I'm super happy, super excited, and I look forward to continued sacrifices. Continued sacrifices. Because what do sacrifices do? It builds your character, Mishpah. Can anybody tell me how many years did the Hebrews wander in the wilderness? How many years? Was it 1 year? Was it 2 years? How many years did the Hebrews wander in the wilderness? In a circle, by the way. You see, we have to pay close attention to things. You may say, oh, that's just such a wonderful story. They stayed in the wilderness for 40 years, blah, 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 and then they went into the land going milk and honey and everything. But you see, you have to go down the rabbit hole for a minute. And you have to utilize that information for yourself today. Utilize this very rich history to assist and help you today in your manifesting, in your attracting, whatever you desire and want for your lives. Excuse me. Thank you for this awesome water. Bless this water. Okay, yeah, so what you have to understand, you see, for some of your, and I want to encourage you today, I'm going to tell you, I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm your biggest one. You see, with the pom-poms minus the skirt. I'm going to be the one over there cheering with the pants on. I'm not going to have the little skirt on. Unless I got some Scottish blood in me, which I probably do as well. I don't know. But I'm not going to be in the skirt. But I'll be over there with the pants and the pom-poms cheering you on and encouraging you as you go through your sacrifice. Some of you may see it as a struggle, and so be it. But understand, you don't go through the struggle. You don't go through the sacrifice alone. The Master Yahweh is always with you. Understand that. Never feel like you're alone, going through your predicaments or whatever. Or you say, oh, well, Rabbi, that sounds great. All these wonderful things are happening in your life, but I'm not getting those wonderful things, family. I'm not seeing those wonderful things. I've been manifesting and I've been attracting it and I've been writing my affirmation and I'm not seeing anything. I want to see the manifestations. Well, remember the 40 years of wondering. Israel, the Hebrews did not leave Egypt and go into the land flowing with milk and honey yesterday. It took time. I don't consider it time, but I'll put it, it took experience. They had to gain experience. They had to gain knowledge. They had to understand exactly what was needed to be done before you enter the land. It's almost like, my goodness, I put up my first bouncer last night. Now, Sean has this beautiful bouncer, and it just bounces, and it vibrates, and it has these little songs. He sits in there, and it plays these little lullaby songs. So I put that up. And of course, first thing you open the box, you know, directions were what? Of course, Mr. Hall, you know, directions were put to the side. I got this. I don't need no stinking directions. And since then I started trying to put the thing together, 20 minutes later, turned into 30 minutes, I'm like, wait a minute. I like to get this thing set up and knock Sean in before I go to sleep tonight, or before he's ready to nap after he gets off the breast. So that was my goal. I wanted the thing set up. So, of course, the instruction book had to be pulled out. I had to go take it from the side and actually open it up. And my goodness, realize, okay, it's very simple to put together. And see, this is what you must understand as well, is that you have to follow the instruction before you can get the bouncer put up. Now, for you, it may not be a baby bouncer. For you, it may be that new car. For you, it may be that new mate, that new spouse. For you, it may be that new house. But first of all, what? We must read the instructions. Moses was telling the Hebrews the same thing on this side of the Jordan. Look, we had 40 years of instructions. Now that you have mastered the instructions, now it's time for you to cross over the Jordan, cross the Jordan. Are you understanding this, Paul? How many of you are like me? When you get something, some kind of new gadget or some kind of new, you always, if they have directions, you always put them to the side. And then you have to go revisit the directions later on because you realize you don't have this. I need to read the directions. Am I the only one? Is there anybody else in the room like that besides me, family? Maybe I am the only one that does that. But yeah, I feel like that, oh yeah, I got this. I don't need to read the directions. This is quite simple. See, some of you are saying that same thing with your affirmations, with your desires and your wants and your needs and things that you want and desire for yourself. You say, no, I got this. I don't need to listen to the instruction of the Kohen. I listen to him every Shabbat, but I don't need to do that. I have a better way. Then you find out your better way was the wrong way, right? This is why the Kohen is here, for us to utilize him. Not only hear what he says, but do what he says. That's important. Moses was explaining this to the children of Israel in this parsha as well. He was explaining it to them. In this parsha Kitavo, listen, you had instruction. You had 40 years of instruction. And it was repeated over and over and over again. Okay, now it's time for you to obey. You have to follow through with it. You have to initiate and act upon the instruction. Then you will see the blessing. If you don't initiate and act upon the instruction of the covenants, then you will see what? Then you will see the curses come upon. That's just it, plain and simple. I summed that up and I paraphrased it. But that's what's going on at the end of the day. But let's bring closer to home to the family this day. Let's bring this closer to home. Let's look at what you want, what you desire. How many of you right now want to go into the land flowing with milk and honey? That's probably not your desire right now. Your desire right now is that, you see, and if it is, it needs to be a long-term desire. Because right now, you need to be concerned about your family. Focus on your family. Dobson, good title. James Dobson. You should be focused on, do I have food in the refrigerator? Do I have a safe car to drive for my family? Is my wife happy? Am I providing food, clothing, and shelter? How many of you got the message from Hakodim about the mission? He he was talking about mission statement and mission. Anybody in this room get that message these past 6 days of labor about mission, the importance of mission? Anybody? No? Well, I'll just kind of clue you up on it just a little bit. How many of you this day have a mission? You have a mission to where you want to get, you on a mission. And if you don't mind, could you state your mission? You can text it in. What is your mission? What is your mission? You know, you're here on this earth. What is your mission? And don't say, Rabbi, my mission is mission impossible. No, your mission is mission possible. But you all need to have a mission. And I totally agree with what I'm going saying here. And I'm instituting and applying that in my life as well. But mission, you need to have a mission. What is your mission for this world? What is your mission for the state that you live in? What is your mission for your neighborhood where you're at right now? Any of you have any missions? You're all probably thinking right now, wow, I never considered a mission. What was the Hebrews' mission when they wandered in that desert for 40 years? What was the mission? You always have to have in mind a mission. Adelia says, to accomplish my desires, that's my mission. Okay, Adelia, name me one of the desires that you want to accomplish. Let's get it down to the ground roots level. What is your mission? What do you want? What is one of your missions? It's important stuff. You see, because to know where we're going, we got to know what we want. You see? Otherwise, we're just going. And we don't have any wants, no desires, no dreams. Okay, Adelia says, to own my own home is my mission. Okay, that's a great mission. Is to own your own home, right? Now, I'm just going to use Adelia for an example. And Adelia, I hope you don't mind if I use your example. I want to give you a permission first because, believe me, at the end of the day, I'm not here to offend anyone. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm not trying to shame anyone. And that's not my desire, because my desire is to walk in the Torah of Moses. And the Torah does not offend anyone or shame anyone. Tada, Adelia, but allow me to use your example. Okay, so Adelia's saying, I want to own my own home. That's my mission. Okay, now, what Adelia needs to do now is do this. Now, let's do another mission. What can Adelia do to help others help herself? That's the next mission. So, Adelia, what mission can you do to help your mission statement in helping others and servicing others as well? How about Adelia would say something like this? My mission is to provide and help those that are homeless have a place to stay. Wow! Do you not think that's going to help Adelia's mission to own her own home? Are you getting where I'm coming from here, Ms. Fahar? And this is what Hakonim is leading. This is the area he's leading us into now. So all of you need to have a mission statement and then a mission on top of that mission. You see? That's the beauty. Adelia, you get where I'm coming from? You see, because what that's going to do is that's going to help. That's really going to assist you in manifesting and bringing in and attracting what you want, because your services to other people are thus providing service to yourself. You see the beauty in that? Isn't that beautiful? My mission, as just so happened to be my profession, is to take care of babies. I've been a pediatric nurse going on 24, 25 years now. But my mission at the same time, as you know, I've already told you, 8 years ago was I'm going to have a son. And before those 8 years, I was taking care of babies like 17 years before that, taking care of other people's babies. And now look what my mission has brought me. My own beloved, begotten son, Nahshon. Beautiful, handsome little boy that he is. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, it took 8 years, but so be it. Because there had to be a lot of sacrifice involved. And see, where I want to encourage you this day is this, as your biggest cheerleader, is embrace the sacrifice. don't run away from the sacrifices. What? Can anybody give me an example of a sacrifice that you may have had in your own personal life that you have already made or you're making right now? Can anybody? Because I just don't want to feel like I'm on this island by myself with on the sacrifice island, because sacrifice island is a great place to be. Because if you notice from the Israelites, what did we bring to the Kohanim? We brought sacrifices, didn't we? Think about this for a minute. You better, I'm telling you, think, put your Hebrew hat on for a minute and begin to think about this. Sacrifice is so very much in part and parcel of our family as the children of Israel, as the chosen children of the God of Israel, is that we must make sacrifice. Has anybody made any sacrifices past 6 days of labor? Think, or even beyond, as you look back. Eddie says video games and secular social Saturdays, that's what he has sacrificed. You see, because it's a sacrifice, but see, some folks see sacrifice as loss. But what I want to encourage you this day with my pom-poms is to see the sacrifice as gain. Because it's bringing you closer to what you desire. You understand what I mean? You see, when I look at my personal life and my experience with my ex-wife, I had to sacrifice that family because that wasn't my family. That was a whole other family. I had to let that go. I had to sacrifice it. It had to be closed. That chapter in my life had to be closed so that I could start and open up a new chapter, turn a page. You see? It had to be closed because, the ex-wife, her tubes were tied. Her tubes were burned. And her queen is telling me, Kefa, you need to have a son. You're gonna have a son. Do you understand? Sacrifices need to be made. Now, me making that sacrifice brought me closer to my ultimate goal. Ultimate mission was a son. How many of you in this room this day want a son? You want a son? You desire a son for yourself. Anybody besides myself? I'm desiring more sons. I'll put up a 1 on that one. You desire, you want sons. You want a son. You want sons. You want another son. You want son. Listen, I'm in no way knocking daughters. If I'd had a daughter, I'd still be just as happy. To not be your responses, by the way. Because believe me, I don't want you to sit here and say, well, Rabbi Kefa only talk about your sons. Daughters are beautiful as well, because without a daughter, there would be no son. My wife is a daughter. She has a father. There would be no son there would be no Nakshan without my wife here. Last time I checked, men are not having babies yet, but I think they're working on that as well. So, don't take that and say, well, Rabbi Kefa, you chauvinistic and blah, blah. No. Far from the truth. I love women. And after the birth of my son and sitting there and watching my wife on the operating table bring forth my son, now I have a true, higher, I didn't even think I'd get even higher respect and honor and loyalty for my wife than I ever had before. You understand what I'm saying? And I look at my wife and I'm like, wow, you're amazing. You're totally awesome. What you did. How you did it. Because I sit there and watch this. I was front row seat. I was spectator. I was game. I was not spectator. I was in the game. And I saw you do this. And I saw what came forth out of you. And I'm like, wow, I'm totally amazed. So I have a high respect for women. How many women do we have in the room? Put up a capital W if you're a woman, please. Because believe me, maybe you've been in some of these forums to where they sit there and they downgrade a woman or they put a woman down. You're not going to get that here in this forum. Our Kohen will never do that. He's going to always raise you up because you need to be raised up. You're a woman. He's going to lift you up because you need to be lifted up because you're a woman. Shabbat shalom to you, Simha, and a welcome from California, from the Sunshine State. No, that's Florida. What is California called? What's California's tag? You Californians, what are y'all known for? The Golden State. Yeah, there you go. See, Oliver's way in France and he's telling me this stuff. Good stuff, Oliver. The Golden State. So yeah, to God for that, Oliver. So yeah, so we must consider these things. And to God, women in the room for responding. And to God, stand up for who you are. Hashem. You guys are beautiful, and I truly respect all of you. And in no time. So if the rumblings and rumors of this ever crank up, I want you to understand this. There is no time that the Kohen will ever teach to degrade, to put down a woman, and disrespect the woman in any kind of way. You're not going to get that here. So if you hear those rumblings and rumors, shut them off. Discourage them. Don't receive them, because that's not our agenda here. Yeah, I'm talking about a son because that's what I desire for myself. I have a daughter already. She's 14 years old, and she's truly happy to be in America. Lovely and happy. More children's on the way, Baruch Hashem. I'm totally ready for it. And I totally desire and aspire as well. But in no circumstance is a woman going to be put down in this form. I'm the student of the Kohen. And I say that proudly, and I say that in all humility as well. And in no time has he taught me to put down a woman. Just the opposite, I would tell you. He's always told me to lift up a woman, to honor a woman, to respect a woman, to love a woman, to be loyal to a woman, and to provide those things that need to be provided for a woman so that she can have a comfortable, happy, healthy life. And that's important. So we're back to Adelia's mission. So Adelia, you get what you need to do now for your mission? Now you need to take that mission and put it into action and begin to go help those that are homeless in whatever capacity, whatever kind of energy you want to put into it. However you want to do it. Maybe it's, volunteer some time. Maybe it's put some energy in it with your finances, whatever you want to do. And that's going to help and assist you with your mission. You'll truly be recognized by source energy. And that's going to really, really assist. It can't hurt. And just like I call you gave the history, the story in our history about Quainan and Cain and Abel and Abil. The Master Yahweh said he had respect. Oh my goodness. You want respect? Then make your mission statement about something that's providing a service for others. And see what I'm honing in on, and when our queen told me this, I was like, wow, what can I do? And for me, what I'm going to do is open up a non-profit that's going to provide, straight out of our books, straight out of the laws of Moshe, the laws of Moses, that food, clothing, and shelter mentality. I want to open up a non-profit or assist in helping folks with food, clothing, and shelter. That's my mission. So my energy is going to be in those areas: food, clothing, and shelter. Not just one, but all three. You see? The basic necessities for life for every human being on the face of this earth is food, clothing, and shelter. So why are we not providing those things? And my goodness, Adelia, I don't know if you've been keeping up with what's going on with President Trump and his administration, but for those of you who live in California, you guys know homelessness close. It's up close and personal. Am I correct? Now I know every city, every state has homelessness, but my goodness, the light bulb is shining, the spotlight is shining on what's going on over, and the homelessness that's going on over there in California. Any Californians in the house? Put up a capital C if that's you. Is this a misstatement that I just made, or is it facts? Is it truth on the ground? Californians, please stand up. What I just said, is that misstated, or is that fact on the ground? Please let me know, because I want facts. Abaru said facts right outside my door. Tada for that, Abaru. Tada for that, Simha as well. I think that's very, very important to understand. So, just like here's a great opportunity in putting into application Hakoy's lecture when he talked about, okay, now you have the facts, now let's stand that up against the faith. Now, Abaru said, man, look, there's homelessness right outside my door. Now, Abaru, what he can begin to do for his mission statement is begin to take that and change those facts and put them into faith and change the situation. He can do that. He has that within his power. Don't see things as they are, but see things as they need to be. Don't see things as they are right now, but see things as you want them to be. And begin to write affirmations. Begin to do the mirror work on that. And begin to change that situation, because believe me, that's my goal. Food, clothing, and shelter for all humanity. That's me. Mission statement. That's what I want to do. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants to walk down the street and go into their home when they have two baskets full of groceries going into their house, and they have to walk past the homeless people. I mean, how can you do that and ignore it? You understand what I'm saying? Yet there's people that are totally blind to that all the time. I was at a meeting, there was this one man, I think he was in New York, he was saying, he was like, there's people on the street outside of these rich areas, these ritzy areas, they live in homeless, and, there's a woman out here, she has nice, layers of clothes on, not only for herself, but for her dog as well. But she walks past these people that, barely have ragtag clothes on, in cold climate type weather, and she can do that with, not a blink of an eye, and not think twice about it. And my thing is, well, how can you do that? You can clothe your dog, but you can't help clothe these people. You understand what I'm saying? Yet, many folks' mentality is at that point right now, to where they sear themselves to their environment, and they only think about their little world around them. This is why you need to have a mission statement that pertains and deals with your world, whatever it may be. Maybe your problem isn't homelessness. Maybe it's hunger. Maybe there's people that are just hungry. See, this is why my 3-tiered mission statement is going to deal with food, clothing, and shelter. You see? That's me. That's for me. So maybe some of you as well can think of mission statements for yourself as well. What's going to help benefit your alternative missions that you may have. Ideas is to get a house. What's the best way to get a house? Help those that are homeless. What's the best way to get attention to source energy? Think about that for a minute. You may say, well, yeah, Rabbi, I want a new car, so does that mean I have to go sign up and drive Uber or Lyft? And maybe that'll work for you as well. But how about doing something where you don't get, you're not receiving anything back for it, but you're giving out energy. Think about that for a minute. In the giving of my son's Chinese name, my wife's sister in Taiwan, she put all this together. She did all the legwork and all the necessaries that need to be done to come up with his Chinese name. Now, I'll just tell you this, and it's no coincidence as well. Well, I told you, this Taiwanese woman, my wife's sister, went to this, I guess, this man that's experienced in this area. I guess you would kind of call him like I guess he's like a seer. He's like a seer, very experienced. He's been doing this for years and years. And you'd be surprised. Don't be surprised, because I'm not. Nakshan's name, you would be surprised at what it's associated with. Anybody want to take a guess? I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with Israel. It's a name that's given to Israel. It's mentioned through all of our books. Some of you love to eat it. I do. He's a big fan of it as well. It's an animal that's associated with Israel. That's actually the Chinese name that was given to Nakshan through this seer. There you go. Lamb. Daniel, you hit it. Ding, 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 ding. You win the prize, Daniel. Lamb. I think we call it him Lan, Lan, something like this. Beautiful name. Has a longer version to it, but we shortened it. It's gonna go. He has like his long Chinese name, but that's the base of it. It has lamb in it. Can you believe that? Now this seer has no idea of my background, who I am, but yet he does have an idea because he's pretty clued up. He said to make sure that his name has something to do with lamb in it. Wow. This seer is worth his weight in gold. He knows what he's talking about. this seer lives in Taiwan. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. How could that be? Some may say, pray tell. Unless this information, this particular talent, this skill is given from source in, it's the only way. It's not no phony baloney, Madam Cleo, mumbo jumbo, send your money in and, yeah, you'll win $1 million, just follow this, blah, blah, blah. And, no, it's not in this Madam Cleo mumbo jumbo. This is the real deal. So his name has something to do not only with lamb, but also with the sea. I was like, wow, that's very interesting. So I said, Baruch Hashem. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the universes. So our missions, you all need missions. Now you understand where I'm coming from? Anybody else want to give their mission? Anybody else? Don't be shy, family. What's your mission? What's your mission in life? Don't make it all about yourself. Don't make it all about yourself. Yeah, your mission, but then once you get your mission statement, then now you have to think about doing selfless things to help other people. This is the attention of energy. This is what does it. When you look outside of yourself and you actually do things for others in an awesome way, and only way that you can do it, Mishpah. And it may not be the way that Adir is going to do it, the way I'm going to do it, the way the Kohen, Simon Altaf is going to do it, but you make it tailored, custom fit for you and what you desire to do. That's so very important. The Hebrews' mission was to do what? Was to see the land flow with milk and honey. But in between those 40 years, that 40-year in-between time, what went on then? A lot of experiences, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of ups and downs. So I want to encourage you this day, don't give up. Embrace the sacrifices. That's part and parcel of who we are. We sacrifices. Embrace that. And those sacrifices, and Eddie's, whoever that was that responded and gave, some of the sacrifices, I should top of that. Because, it takes a special person to be able to step up and say, look, this is what I'm sacrificing. And if you're not sacrificing anything, you may want to go revisit and question yourself and wonder, why are not my affirmations and why are they not getting manifested, and why am I not attracting these things? And so for most of us, the problem is we have to sacrifice our mind. We have to give up our mind and our thought process and just react to the instruction of the son of Aaron. You must react to his instruction. You must react to the instructions of the laws of Moses. Well, I don't understand the laws of Moses. That's why you have the son of Aaron in your gate. Kohen, Simon Altaf. React to his instruction. When you react to his instructions, my goodness, you put yourself on the proper path. Understanding this as well. Sometimes, Mishpah, you're attracting, it may take years, it may take many years. It's not going to happen overnight. Look at the pattern in our books. 40 years to get to the land full of milk and honey, but you want your Mercedes-Benz tomorrow. Come on, man. I mean, come on. You have to be realistic. But also you must be resolute. Don't ever give up. Because I can tell you from my personal life, from when I was told that I was going to have a son, and when I was told to look to the east for a wife, do you know how many times that mind will come in and tell you otherwise? Well, maybe we need to rethink this. Maybe the Kohen was talking east of San Antonio, the east side of San Antonio. You understand what I'm saying? That's your mind coming in, and trying to throw these what we call stumbling blocks. You know what I mean? We'll put these stumbling blocks in your way. And before you know it, you're missing your mission because you've been mind controlled. And again, use the mind for the wonderful tool that it is, but don't let your mind control you. My mind would have had me totally, definitely not in China. When I was told I was going to go to China, you need to look for a Chinese wife. This was for me now. I'm not saying this about everybody. I need to go to China. You know what my mind told me? What the hell are you thinking about? You've never been to China. Only thing you know is the fried rice at a Chinese restaurant down the street. What do you know about China? I had no clue. I mean, how do I get to China? I mean, that's what my mind was telling me. See, I had to sacrifice. Yeah, finances, but I also had to sacrifice time. I had to totally change my whole way of thinking. China? I'm going to China? China was not in my mind's bird-eye view. China was not there. Subconscious was telling me China. My Kohen told me China, and that was instructions given to me personally from the Kohen. Yeah, Kefa. Your wife is going to be Chinese. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I could go to Chinatown in Houston and rack up one. In China, Chinatown, Houston is like 2 hours for me, no problem. No. I had, and get this, Houston is east of San Antonio. So, you know what I mean? But that was my mind telling me, oh, you can make this very easy. And see, that's what some of your minds are telling you as well. Oh yeah, let's do the easy route, easy way out. And you're going to totally miss your mission trying to do it the easy way. 40 years in the desert is not easy, Mishpahah, I guarantee you. But yet at the same time it can be. Why do I say that? Because when we look at Deuteronomy chapter 29, let's go there real quick. Because I'm not going to sit here and give you the spiel. You all heard the spiel of Deuteronomy 27, 28. So everybody on YouTube, lottie-dottie, everybody and their mama that has some kind of affiliation or some kind of love for the Torah of Moses, or some kind of love for Israel, they begin to talk about Deuteronomy 27, 28. And I tell you what, full disclosure, Deuteronomy 27 and 28 was one of the first 2 chapters that really helped me connect back to who I really was. Now, anybody else in the room like that as well? That was one of the first clues. That's like, wait a minute, this makes a lot of sense to me. Why I'm getting beat upside the head and things not working right in my life and blah, 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 and blah, 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 was Deuteronomy 27 and 28. I was like, I read that in the Bible, in my King James Version. I was like, wow. And that resonated with my ruach, with my spirit, with my inner man, with my subconscious. Was anybody else like that as well? Or was it just me? Put up a capital D if that was you as well. I tell you, that resonated. So I'm not knocking Deuteronomy 27 and 28, but again, people have taken it and they've misquoted it, mistaught it, misinterpreted it, and a lot of other totally missed the boat with it. Deuteronomy 27 and 28 was one of the key things that brought me back into the family. I guess I'm the only one, but I tell you that was one of the key. I was like, wow, this makes a lot. Who's this stuff pertaining to? This makes a lot of sense to me. Really did. It really ushered me back. It was really one of the first things that brought me back to the faith of my forefather Abraham. Because I thought I had to follow the faith of Rome and the Pope. That's what I thought. Or the faith of Hagee. That's what I thought. Boy, was I wrong. But I always knew I didn't fit my ruach. It didn't agree with my ruach, so I didn't stay. You see? Daniel says that, and Jeremiah 16 and chapter 19 blew my mind indeed. So I knew, I was like, wow, there's more to me than just being this so-called African American or black that's on my birth certificate. See where we're going with that? You see, because we've been conditioned for so long, and this is the benefit that our children, and we're going to all have, our sons and daughters that we're having going forward. Guess what? They're not going to get that conditioning. They're going to be raised and reared in the Torah. The first words they're going to hear besides that of mom and dad are of the Kohen and the king. That's the first words that my son heard besides that of his sister, his dog, Pharaoh, his mother and his father. The next words were that of a Kohen speaking in his ear. Baruch Hashem. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. And all of our children are going to have that going forward, Mishpah. I didn't get that. And I guarantee you, majority of you in this room didn't get that either. You see? That's why I give thanks. I'm so happy. I'm so humble. And I'm so grateful to be a part of the family of Israel. So happy to now know who I am. Now Sean knows who he is now. It's in his name. Do you see it? I didn't get that. My name is Cecil Lamont Clovis. Now, I did find Cleophas. I found that in the New Testament. I found that. I was like, wow. That kind of connected me back to the Bible. Wow. He said, and the connection with the house of Levi and house of Judah. That's real. That is so real in my life. This is what I was telling you guys earlier. The connection that I have with Kohen is this blood connection. Judah and Levi. That's brothers from the same mother. That's real. I see Kohen as my father. I see him as my brother. I mean, my goodness. That's real. And our connection, our bond is that tight. It's real. It's that tight. It is that tight. And it will not be broken. It cannot be broken. Some have come in and tried to break it. Yeah. Some have come in. Some of my ex-wife, she came, it's you hanging around that man, Simon out there. He's not my relationship. No, he's actually bringing me back to the relationship that I needed. See, remember talking about sacrifices? See, these are part of the struggles that you go through in your sacrifice. But all this struggle brings you closer to what you really desire and aspire for yourself. Embrace the struggle. Embrace the sacrifice. This is what you need to do. Sacrifice is healthy, Mishpah. It's not harmful. But as soon as sacrifice comes, we shut it down. Majority of us shut it down and we say, no, I'm not going to go through that. I don't want to go through that. I'm not going to go through that because I want it easy. Don't let your mind play this trick on you. Easy. Oh, because I want it so easy. I want to get that new house the easy way. I want to get that new car the easy way. I want my spouse to come in one of those Jeff Bezos Amazon box and come to my door, and the ring is gonna say, your husband is here, your wife is here. You want it easy. Come off of that. Embrace difficult. And blessing is in the difficult, is in the struggle. 40 years in the desert, I guarantee you that's a struggle. And that was difficult, and that they made sacrifices. But guess what? Like we're going to right now. Let's go there. Deuteronomy chapter 29. Again, we read from the Hidden Truth Break scrolls. Let's go there. Let me find Deuteronomy chapter 29, because it's beautiful. You need to see this. Chapter 29. Where are we at? Let me find it again. We read from the Hidden Truth Break scrolls. Hey, listen, if you don't have this Hidden Truth Break scrolls, or now we call it the Abrahamic Faith Bible, you can purchase it on Amazon. Get this Bible. It's going to help you in the study of your Bible studies. Any of you Bible scholars, Bible studies, Bible students, whatever you call yourself, this will really be a great assist. I'm telling you, I guess, I'm being, I guess I'm being kind of partial, but it's going to be the best Bible study Bible that you're going to have on your bookshelf. Now let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 5. I have led you for 40 years in the wilderness. This is Moses. But listen to what Moses says here. Your shoes have not worn out, and your sandals on your feet have not deteriorated. Baruch Hashem. You want to talk about the struggle? Let's talk about the struggle. Yes, you're going to wander in the wilderness. You're going to struggle. But so what? Guess what? You're not going to get weary. Your shoes are not going to wear out. Your sandals are not going to deteriorate. Your clothes are not going to get worn out. You're not going to smell like yesterday's trash can, Mishpah. This should be so encouraging. Maybe it's giving some of you goosebumps this day. But it should be so encouraging for you. That, yeah, you're going to go through the wilderness. So what? Don't allow allow your clothes to wear out. Don't allow, you look at, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do it, and blah, blah, blah. Things are not happening for me, Rabbi, the way I want them to, so I'm just going to throw in the towel. Don't do that to yourself. Embrace the struggle. Embrace it. Flower of my youth is saying, okay, I will embrace the struggle. Such a good message. Well, it's a true message. It's based on, that's Israel. That's the Hebrews. We're all about the struggle. You know, I mean, my goodness, you know, we didn't see the great miracles that took place in the smackdown that happened to Egypt. Yeah, we talk about that. But what happened before that? Pharaoh had us in the struggle. You see, he had our forefathers in the struggle. We're building bricks and struggling. And we're not even getting paid for it. We're doing things undercover just try to have a semblance of some kind of happiness of a life. Struggles are part of our heritage. It's who we are. You see? That's character building. So you need to embrace the struggle. Don't run away from it. Struggle's going to come to you. Embrace it. It's all about the sacrifice. But you have to be willing to make those sacrifices, you see? You got to be willing to step up and realize, hey, that's not good for me. Hey, that's a stumbling block in my way. I need to go in another direction. Yet some of us, we're still going down that same path with all the stumbling blocks. And you wonder why, like the flower of my youth talk about, you wonder why you're not happy. You wonder why you're not seeing your desires met. You wonder why you're not seeing anything manifested in your life. You wonder why you're not full of love. You wonder why you're not full of peace. You're wondering why you're not full of happiness. It's because you have not embraced your struggle. You have not embraced your sacrifice. And said, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I know that's not good for me. That's it. Exit. That part's out. And some of it may require you leave. You're going to have to leave some things that you love, or that you thought you loved, or that your mind told you that you love, but your subconscious within you is telling you, look, that's the worst thing for you next to sliced bread. You need to drop that like as a hot or run like Forrest Gump. Away from that. Remember Forrest Gump in the movie? I was running, and I was running. Man, Forrest Gump, he must have circumvented the whole earth with his running in Forrest Gump. You remember that? I was running. That's how you need to run. Run away from all that drama. Run away from all that negativity in your life. Because it's stagnating you, and you can't move forward. And you can't get on. And you can't see your affirmations met. You're not seeing them met. And there's no feel good about it. Yeah, you can wander in the desert, but who says your clothes has to smell? Who says your shoes have to wear out? That's what Moses was telling. Look, don't focus. Yeah, you was in the desert 40 years, but look at you. Look at your persona. You know, we got the fast coming up. You know, and I know a lot of people. I mean, I tell you, when some people fast, you look at them and you can tell that they fast, right? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You look at them and they got this look on their face like they be zombies in these zombie movies, man. You know, hair not combed, no makeup on their face. They just look like a hot mess. Not when I fast. You know what? When I fast for Yom Kippur, people don't even know. They're like, oh, I didn't even know you were fasting. Well, how are you supposed to know unless I tell you? Because I still keep my same demeanor. I'm super happy, super excited, you know, full of energy. I do what I need to do. So what I don't eat? Because my fast, I don't eat or drink. That's just me. That may not be for you. Your fast is wherever you at. However you need to afflict your soul, do it. What form of affliction you have, do it. Mine, food, water, none of that for me, you see. It's all about the affliction. Don't get caught up, well, I can't do what Rabbi Simon does. I can't do what the Kohen does. I can't do what Rabbi Kefa does or these other rabbis. And no, you do what you need to do. Me? Man, you take my chocolate away, you done afflicted me 10 times over. I'm telling you. But yeah, I normally, that's been my tradition, is food and water. No, is a no-no. But I'm telling you, For me, it's chocolate. If you remove my chocolate, my goodness, you done took that's my kryptonite right there. You took my chocolate. But again, I can do without it. I can do without it. Why? Because the fact is, that's my kryptonite. But my faith tells me I can do without it. To doctor your message, Queen, today was very instructional and very spot on for the age and the time that we're in right now. Because a lot we're rolling. We say we're rolling with faith. But basically, we're just sticking to the facts. Faith, we haven't even crossed it yet. We haven't even crossed over the threshold of faith because we're still focused on the facts. On the faith side, you can change your world however you want it to be, and that's how you live it. You understand what I'm saying? But that's hard for your mind to comprehend that. But that's in the wheelhouse of your inner man, your spirit man, your subconscious. That's his wheelhouse right there. That's her wheelhouse right there. Oh yeah, that's right up my alley right there. But the mind is like racking its brain like, well, how the heck can that be when how can that be when it's not? That's what your mind is telling you right now. Well, how can you have that house of Delia when you don't? You don't have that house, and you never will. You see, that's your mind. And if you stay quiet long enough, you'll hear your mind. And you can put your mind in this place quicker than quick. But you must have that quiet time to be able to really, understand your mind and how it's playing tricks on you. Because it'll do that. But when you begin to subjugate your mind and you come from the place of your subconscious, that inner being within you, that DNA that's connected with El Shaddai, that's subconscious. You have the DNA of El Shaddai. Question is it woke, as they say? Has it awoken? Or does it still have cobwebs on it you're trying to dust off? Or is it woke? Is it alive within you? And this has been the journey and our sojourning that the Queen has taken us to. He's taken us to the place of our subconscious. I thanked Queen yesterday. I thanked him so much because He taught me that my inner man is where I need it. I don't need to go running all over the place for this guru, that guru. Not that I don't have mentors, because I do. Queen's he's my number one mentor. But not that I don't have mentors, because I do, and I have some outside of our Queen as well. But I don't need to go search for who I am, what I am outside of myself. It's already within me. God is within me. Understand? Flower of my youth, for many years of my life, for I say 38, 39 years of my life, I was searching for God outside of me. You get where I'm coming from? I'm looking for God in the church. I'm looking for God I'm trying to find God outside of me. When I didn't realize that God was already within me, and He had never left me. He was already in me. I was never alone. You understand? And that was the beauty. And hey, when that light bulb came on within me, wow. It be just like that cartoon says, it's a whole new world. Was it Aladdin? Yeah, it was a whole new world. It's like Aladdin's lamp. My goodness. That lamp was already in me, you see? Wow. When I got that, and I realized, man, I can rub my lamp and get anything I desire. Just like Aladdin comes, I love the Will Smith one. I watched that, I really like it. He comes out of there, whoop, he comes out. What do you want? And it's not just 3 wishes. I can wish and have as many wishes as I want. Infinitely amount, infinitely abundant, infinitely blessed are we, the chosen ones. Yeah, we're chosen by Master Yahweh. Yeah, we're chosen by source energy, but have we chosen source energy? We have to choose source energy. We have to choose the covenants. We have to choose the instruction. You have to choose to follow the instruction of the Queen. If you don't want to do that, then, my goodness, I wish you all the best. I desire for you to have all the best, but again, you're in the marathon, but you're limping when you should be running. You see? You run your marathon, you don't limp through. I don't want to live through life. How many of you want to just live through life? I want to go through life full speed ahead, running with both feet, and trying to carry some other folks with me if I have to. You see, because if you come here for religion, you're in the wrong place. But if you come here for the way of life, the way that Abraham lived his life, the way that Moses lived his life, the way that our ancestors, the Hebrews and the Israelites, when they crossed over the Jordan, lived their lives, then you're in the right place. You want to connect back to source energy? God, Lord, Yeshua, whatever. You want to connect back to the God of the very creator that breathed into your nostrils and gave you life and animated you, you're in the right place. But it's going to require, because just like our Queen tells me time and time again, and I'll tell you the same thing, there's nothing in this life that doesn't require a payment. Nothing in this life that does not, nothing in this life worth having that does not require payment. Now that payment can come in many forms. Sacrifice, struggle, monetary, relationship. How many of you know where I'm going with this? I mean, there's a broad spectrum here that we can go down this rabbit hole. And it's going to vary on a case-by-case basis, on each individual basis. Each one of you is going to vary. Because we're all at different levels. We're all at different places in our lives. So if you come here for a religious field, you're in the wrong place. You want to come here and learn how to live a life, and a life that's based on real faith, and not this mumbo jumbo that they're just talking, but there's no evidence. There's no evidence of things that's unseen. Wow. Daniel says, I want to go through my life on my flying carpet, fast and furious. What a great statement. What a great statement. And he can. He will go through life on a flying carpet, fast and furious, and loving every minute of it. Truly happy, truly excited, truly full of joy, truly full of peace. But that only happened. And I have to give, many times we like to thank God. How many of you like to give God thanks? You're very gracious, and you like to give God thanks every day. You want to give thanks to God. You want to give thanks to Source Energy. You want to give thanks to either the Imhokma, Mother Wisdom, the Holy Spirit. You want to give thanks to the Creator of the heavens and the universes. But this day, I want to encourage you all to begin to give thanks, to show gratitude to the Kohen and the Gate, Simon Altep. I give thanks for my Kohen. He's my Kohen because it's personal. But I give thanks to my Kohen because he has opened up this whole new world to me. He has given me Aladdin's lamp. Hagee didn't give it to me. Creflo didn't give it to me. They wanted Aladdin's lamp. What Creflo talking about? Hey, and we're all Aladdin's lamp. All these people that give him money, be like, oh yeah, Aladdin, I need a new jet. Okay, let me rub Aladdin's lamp so all these people can come up with this money and give me this jet. No, I have Aladdin's lamp. I can get whatever I want now. And I only came into that understanding of the Kohen. Nakshan is here this day because of the Kohen. And I'm truly thankful. Truly indebted to him. I tell you, all of you need to be as well. You give thanks. You shouldn't have an attitude of resentment or hatred or jealousy. No, know your place. Know your role in the family. He knows his role. He's just doing it. I tell him thank you all the time, but he does it for me. He'll do it for you too. When you have a son, he's going to do the same thing that he did for me. He's going to do it for you. Exact same thing. That's his role. That's his place in the family. I can't play Kohen in chief. That's not my role. That's not my place being from the tribe of Judah. I must fit in my role, know my place, you see. That's very, very important. Very, very important. Many times you reach out to the Kohen like he's a former friend. Or you just use him to get past this particular scenario or experience or struggle that you're going through. But how many of you just took the time to shoot him an email and just say, hey, Kohen, thank you. Not coming to him, Jimmy, gimme. If your name is Jimmy, no offense. You come to, oh, Jimmy, just gimme. What can you give me? I go, what advice you gonna give me today? What golden nugget you got? How many of you have just taken the time and just sent an email and just saying, hey, Hakohi, thank you for everything that you do? Not that he needs to hear that, because he don't. Really, I'll tell you that. And he'll tell you in a minute he doesn't. But you doing it for you. Just giving him thanks. Showing gratitude. And pointing and giving thanks where humility and gratitude needs to be given. And that's so important. That's so vital and so important, Mishpah. So important that you do that. It's a must-have, Mishpah. Daniel saying, I remember when Akohi was saying back in 2015 to Kefa about having a son. I'm just happy for you and seeing the manifestation come to fruition indeed. Oh, yeah, Daniel, he's been here for a while. He remembers. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a recording out there that is a watcher and a witness to this as well, as Daniel will tell you. So, indeed, things will happen, but again, you all are seeing the joy side of it. It hadn't always been joy. I'm going to tell you, too, there's been some times, I had to go through a lot. I had to go through the struggle. I had to sacrifice a lot, Mishpah, to get here. And all of you will have to do the same thing. There's no, you can't skip this. You can't want it the easy way, because I appreciate it more than I did the hard way. You understand what I'm saying? I appreciate it more, and I appreciate all those hard times. Those times when I was crying. Those times when I got my feelings hurt. Those times when I had to break relationships. Those times when, things just didn't turn out the way I thought they would. You understand what I'm saying? So I would encourage you all, when you have those moments that I just explained to you, because they're going to come, they're going to happen, you're human beings. Stand strong, stay fast, hold to your faith. Hold to what you want your world to be, because you can change your world. Don't let your world change you, Mishpah. Remember that verse that we just read here in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 5. You're going to go through the wilderness. Maybe 40 years, it may not be 40 years, maybe 10. When you take that 40 and you divide it by my 8 years, you get 5. So, my goodness, the Israelites did 5 times as much as I had to do to get Nachshon to come manifested. You understand what I'm saying? Start to look at numbers in a positive way. You won't have 40 years. But 40 years is just a marker that we have in our history. Maybe yours will take 6 years, not 8. Maybe 2 years and not 6. Whatever it may be. Don't let time be the enemy. Use time as your ally. You understand what I'm saying? Time is a great ally that you can harness and use and gain more experiences and do greater things. But remember, sacrifice is a part of it. You got to sacrifice, Mishpah, but you can sacrifice, and guess what? There's never been a day in my sacrifice where I didn't have food on my table, food in my refrigerator, clothing, shelter over. Never been a day. Matter of fact, all of those things through my sacrifices have been increased. Baruch Hashem. So you can go, Rabbi Benil likes to say, you can go through hell, but you just keep walking. I like that saying. Go through hell, just keep walking, because on the other side is your heaven. And believe me, I look at Nachshon, and I'm going to look at him as soon as I finish with you guys here, and I'm going to hold him, and I'm going to kiss his little cheeks, and I'm going to smell his little baby smell, and rub my little fingers through his little hair, and I'm going to be so grateful and so happy, because he is my heaven. You understand what I'm saying? That stuff is real. He's going to look in my eyes, I'm going to look in his eyes, and I'm going to change his poopy diapers, and I'm going to love it, because he is pooping a lot. So I'm changing his poopy diapers, and I'm going to love it. And I'm going to get up at dark 30 in the morning, and when he's crying, and change his diaper and hold him, and we're going to spend some early morning time together, and he's doing his affirmations with me. Hey, he's looking at the markets with me. We're analyzing the markets together. We're going through our affirmations together, because I'm holding him in my arms. He's getting all that now. Isn't that beautiful? I didn't get that when I was coming up, but he is. So I'm truly thankful. He is my heaven. I'm truly thankful. A lot of information, a lot of instruction will be imparted to him. Why? Because his uncle is a Kohen, and his father's from the tribe of Judah. He's from the tribe of Judah. We're going to grow up together, and he's going to do great and marvelous things. Great, great, great and marvelous things for this world. And I'm super excited, super happy, and super proud father this day. And all humility and happiness and humbleness that I've had, just like I scripted. Uneventful pregnancy, healthy, happy baby, little baby, all of that. I scripted that, and it's just coming to pass. Just as I scripted. Just as I scripted. And there's more to come, so stay tuned. So I would encourage you all. I'm not going to sit here and read through our parsha. You've all read it before. I'm not going to sit here. I'm just going to give you how relevant and how real and how you take the practicality of our Torah and apply it today in 2019. Is look, you're going to go through your wilderness. You're going through your wilderness now. So what? You're going to go through it unscathed. Your shoes are not going to wear out. So your clothes are not going to be torn and tattered. That's the kind of God we serve. We are the chosen people. The God of Israel has chosen us. Now we have to go back and choose the God of Israel. And in that choosing, it's not just a catchphrase. My goodness, you have to assume it all. You have to consume it all. Take it all in. You don't know what you're consuming. That's when you get with the Kohen. He'll help you. I'm here to help as well. But the Kohen, he will help you. In each case, it's a case-by-case basis. He will help you. He will help you, Mishpah. He's here to help you. That's his role. Whether you tell him thank you or not, he's here to help Israel, period. At the end of the day, that's his role. And believe me, he's not going to shuck his role. Because believe me, if you heard any part of his testimony, you'll realize he's had a lot of sacrifice in his life as well to get to where he is now. A lot of sacrifice. But all that sacrifice did what at the end of the day? It brought him close to source energy. That's what it did. It made the relationship closer. So we give thanks. And on this note, I'm going to wrap up my lecture for this part. I think we'll title this lecture Sacrifice, because we all need to do it at some levels. Sacrifice. Okay, Mishpah, I love you and I leave you all. And Hakoin, safe travels to you, Hakoin, as you get on with your journeys and do the necessaries that need to be done in your life and your manifestation and everything that you desire and aspire for yourself as well. And I look forward to things ahead and what's coming. What's coming? Because a lot of great things are coming. A lot of great and marvelous things. You stay put. If you want to consider yourself Israel, connect yourself with Israel any kind of way, you have to stay close to Moses. And our Moses today is in the likeness of the sons of Aaron. You must stay close. All of Israel. I tell this to everybody. You Israel, who's your Kohen? Where's your Kohen in the gate? Stick to him, stay close, and heed his instruction, because it's going to take you very far. You're going to have a wonderful life, and everything that you desire for yourself will be met. And some. Believe you me, it works. But you have to work it. That's so true. Okay, so on that note, we'll wrap it up, and I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to you across the pond. Oliver, Vive la France over there in France. I know you're holding it down for France, and you two will do great things. Simha saying, food for thought, intentions of the heart for the good and for self, another person, humanity, and animals. Love, caring, sharing, and appreciation for who we are to be grateful. Oh, believe you me, who we are to be grateful. Yeah, appreciate Harav Tada. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom. Shabbat Tov, yeah. Tada for your congratulations. I really receive them all. I do. Humbly, I do. And I'm super happy, full of joy and peace. Taking it to new levels as well. And we'll continue to take it to higher heights as well. So over to you, Akohim. Hey, if you guys have any questions, please, you can ask your questions now. Any concerns, anything. Akohim, remember, he's going to be away. Remember, we got festivals coming up back to back to back. Don't forget to come. Don't go to your festivals empty-handed now. Don't come to any of our festivals empty-handed. Never come to our festivals empty-handed. You utilize his email address. If you want to contact him going forward, you want to utilize his email address. For those of you who are privileged to his WhatsApps, you can use that one as well. Those of you who have that privilege. That privilege is not for everybody, but for those that have that privilege, you can use his WhatsApps as well and connect with him that way. He's away, but he's still right with us. So, don't feel like, well, I'll wait till he come back before I ask my question. No, shoot him an email. Shoot him an email, and he'll assist you. Over to you, Akohim. Shabbat Shalom, 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 Shalom.
Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. Yep, thanks for that, and that's great. So, just to reiterate on the message for the mission, now everybody should be thinking about what is their mission in life. And yes, you may say, I want a car, I want a nicer job with better pay, I want maybe a nicer house to live, maybe I don't want to rent, maybe I don't want to have own a house, etc. All of these are good things. These are all good missions, but then there should be a little bit broadening mission around it. Any broadening of the mission will help you better, because you'll know better for yourselves what is happening around your community, your city, and your state, and even the country, because you will be able to formulate in a little mission that will then encompass and help a community of people, in which you automatically help yourself as well. Now, remember that all the great people, all the people that are entrepreneur-minded in this world, they all had a mission. Now, for instance, let's look at Microsoft. Bill Gates had a mission. The mission was that my operating system should be running in almost every desktop on the planet. My Windows OS should be running on all the desktops, as many as possible. My Office application should be running on every desktop possible. That was a mission, and Mr. Bill Gates did accomplish that mission. Now if you look today, almost every office has Office 2000, Office 2003, Office 2013, Office 2016, and it goes on and on. It doesn't stop. Then Windows, it started from Windows, I believe it was Windows 2, and then Windows 3, 3.1, 3.11, and it goes on to all the way to where we are presently, Windows 10, and so on. So it's important to have a mission. We had Steve Jobs, who looked like a hippie. If you looked at him in his youth, he looked like a hippie, and he had a mission. His mission was that he wants to have this device, which today is known as the iPhone and the iPad and the Apple Macs, and he wanted to get those into the hands of people for safety, security, to do their phone calls and so on and so forth. And Mr. Steve Jobs, who was a hippie lookalike, if you looked at him in his youth, he just looked like a hippie in his own little world. But he had a mission as well, and he focused on his mission, and he was inspired by the yogis in India. He had a teacher, a yogi teacher from India, Yoganand was his teacher. He actually went to him and studied under him for 4 months. So this is why it's important to have a small mission around your mission. And it could be anything. I don't have to tell you. You know better for yourselves what mission you want. But sometimes, you might come up blank, and you might say, well, I want to get a house, but I don't know what mission to get. So therefore you have to devise one. You can ask God for help. You can ask God to guide you, so that He can send you some revelation as what it is that's required. When you have a mission, you add the nitric gas to your affirmations. Then they become much more meaningful. Then it's not just about you. It's not just about you getting something. It's about a community thing. So it's really important that you think along those lines, because that will help you tremendously if you follow that line of thought. And everywhere there's a need. Like in California, there may be a need for social housing because so many people are unemployed. There'll be need for food for people who are unemployed. There'll be need for clothing for people who are unemployed. So a mission could be around those areas as well. It could be a mission around to provide maybe used clothing for people who are struggling and have no clothing. That could be a mission. You collect clothing and you set up shops, like we see in Europe. You had these other charitable places, that Red Cross and all these other places that you have that provide clothing and food. So you could have a mission around that, to say, I'm going to set up a charitable store, and my charitable store is going to cater for, I'm going to collect clothing and I'm going to dish it out to people who are in need on the street. So that could be a mission. And from there you build up. And then you empower your mission. I mean, maybe some ladies, maybe they want to build a boutique. Maybe they want to build a designer label, and they may say, I want to build a designer label, but alongside that, I want to have clothing places which can be used to help other people as well who are in need, who are desperate, who need clothes for winter, maybe need clothes for summer, etc., etc., and it goes on. That's one mission. You might say, I want to buy a car. That's great. Everybody needs a car. And then you could have a mission. You know what? I want to set up shop to sell cheap tires. That's a mission. I want to set up shop, starting with my city and all across the nation if I can. And my mission is to sell tires at a cost that is not a rip-off to the customer. So you set up a mission that sells tires. And tires could be, generally go to buy a tire and they say, oh, it's going to cost you $100. And maybe you sell your tire for $60, and you already cut the cost down a lot from the regular tire. So that's a mission as well. That is a mission. So, but the tire cost, selling tires doesn't just help one person. It helps everybody who's a driver. Or you could be, in other areas of your life. Maybe some of you health geeks, you might say, hey, I want to set up a coffee shop for health reasons. I want to sell coffee, nice coffee, and I want to sell health products alongside it that will help other people who are maybe fitness conscious. That's a mission as well. That's a mission to achieve. And then alongside that, you see, people who set missions, they become rich as a result of their mission. I mean, they also became millionaires. I mean, Steve Jobs became billionaire. Bill Gates became a billionaire. Why? As a result of his mission. He didn't particularly say that I want to be a millionaire. He basically set a mission, and the mission made him rich. So if he had a mission, like to set a tire store, I mean, so did Firestone. Firestone started from somewhere. And I heard that, I was kind of reading up about the races they do, and Firestone tires are being used in these races in Indiana, the Indiana 500 and other races there, that a set of tires for a car over there, racing car, cost $82,000, a set of tires. Now you think about that. Firestone provide that. So that's that. So they've got from A to B, they got from somewhere to somewhere. So if you started from a smaller mission, then you're going to go to a higher mission. In other words, your mission is going to take you places. And it starts with, what did it start with? For Firestone, it started with a tire. It's like somebody like, what the heck, a tire? And now they're servicing sports cars and selling one set of tires for $82,000. I mean, most people don't even see that money in their life as a salary. So that's my point, is that you got to set a mission for yourselves, and mission will nitro power you ahead if you are serious about it. And then, of course, part of the mission wouldn't just be that you're going to sit there on the sidelines holding a bag of cards. You're going to get rich with it. Your money's going to come with it. So when you set your goal to be a millionaire, well, part of the mission is what gets you there. And there are many ideas. I mean, you could probably just go and scour the net and you'll find many ideas that will get you there. But you need to decide what is right for you. I mean, Rabbi Zakaria is a car mechanic, and I'm pretty sure that around car mechanics there's many ideas there. Service centers. A service center is something that every car needs. Every car owner needs to go to a service center. And in Pensacola, Florida, they have a service center that says oil change in 15 minutes. The fastest time on the planet to change your oil. Okay, that's a mission. That's, they have these places in Pensacola, Florida and other places where they have these fast oil change places. And that's also a good mission to be in. You could have a service center that could be running to do different things. Oil change is one. Changing your brakes. Changing, doing something else. So these are all part and parcel of things that that entail missions. So, mission statement for, the person who created the light bulb, Thomas Edison, what was it? To light the world, to light every home. That was a mission. And look what happened to him afterwards. He's known to this day, and he made many millions. So think about where your life is now, and think about what would be a nice mission for you as a person, and then that could propel you forward, and your affirmations would be written around that mission. And when they are written around that mission, then you can be somewhere in life. That's just something to think about. My suggestion. Think about it. And of course, there's nothing to say. Some people might say, well, a mission is too much for me. I'd just rather have a great job, and I'd rather be just happy with my family. And that's okay as well. You can do that. If that's your desire, you can have a great job, and you can be happy with your family, and you don't need to have a sprawled business. That's fine too. But these are all ideas. So think about these things. Think about what you want, and then you go on from there. So with that, I'm gonna say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom, and until next time, take care of yourselves, look out for yourselves, your families, make sure that you write your affirmations correctly, because affirmations that are written wrong doesn't mean they're going to come to pass. You're going to have to write them correctly. And some of you write your affirmations and you don't execute them. So you need to execute your affirmations. You need to be serious about it. You need to script it. You need to read them out loud 5 times a day on a card which has been told you. And then when you do that, then you're positioning yourself for success. This is positioning yourself. And if you don't position yourself for success, then you'll just be where you are. Nothing will change. But if you position yourself for success, things will start to shift. Things will change. But you've got to be the change maker. You've got to be the change maker. When you become the change maker, things will shift. So with that, Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to you.